out on a role in Pirates of the Caribbean. I know I make this joke all the time, number 35 or whatever sequel they're up to, that he lost out on that role, and that would have been a $22 million, payday for him. The fact of the matter is he probably lost out on other roles. Now, Miss Heard's counsel attempted to rebut that by putting on, an executive from Disney who said she was unaware of any decision by Disney with respect to casting that was related to that article and negative publicity that Mr. Depp had. Now, I don't know how credible that is. It sounds like, Disney might be trying to mitigate their own damages, as they could potentially, be sued for cutting and running and leaving him without the role.
Absolutely. And we were learning, and looking at the time here that the jury was deliberating here, and it was just under about 13 hours there. Does that lead you to any way that this could go? I know during a trial, you just never know just how what's happening inside that jury room, though. But I was just interested on your take there, just under 13 hours for a 6-week trial.
So, it's roughly 2 days of deliberation that this jury went through. I don't think we can learn too much from that because it's not an insignificant amount of time for a deliberation. If they had deliberated for half a day, I think you could safely assume that one side is probably in trouble, because the shorter the deliberation, the more clear the case is one-sided, in my opinion. When it's a short deliberation, it's because the facts were just so uneven and heavy on one side that the jury got in the room and they were all pretty much unanimous from the beginning of deliberations. I think 2 days, it's a respectable amount of time that you really can't draw much of an inference either way.
Okay, Ken, I want to get into some of the circumstances surrounding this case here, because we're getting word that Johnny Depp is not actually going to be inside of the courtroom here. We reported this yesterday, but he performed in front of a sold-out crowd alongside Jeff Beck at the Royal Albert Hall in London. We thought that this might have been kind of a tough timeline for him to make it back to the Fairfax County courtroom in Virginia. But no, he is in London for a third night in a row performing here. Doesn't seem to be too concerned about what this verdict might be, but I'm curious. So he doesn't have to be inside of the courtroom. Amber Heard doesn't have to either, right?
No, for a civil trial, depending on that judge's particular rules or that court's particular rules, the parties don't necessarily have to be present. I've had trials where, the parties were not even permitted to sit at the table with the attorneys because they're witnesses, and the judge wanted to limit how much exposure they had to other witness testimony. So they're not going to be there. It's not like anyone's going to jail here that they would need to be in court because they might be getting remanded to a prison when the verdict's read. This is simply going to be a matter of a jury awarding damages or not awarding damages.
Well, we're also hearing that Kate Moss joined him backstage, or she was allegedly there, according to Hollywood Star. She was called as a witness. As we take a step back and we await, again, we're waiting for that verdict that is going to be read at the top of the hour here. Let's take a look back at the trial as a whole. What are some of the witnesses that kind of stuck out to you? Thinking back to it, of course, his ex-girlfriend standing up there and talking about that staircase incident, that everyone was on the edge of their seat on whether or not she was going to kind of take Johnny's side or take Amber Heard's side. What has stuck out to you in your head, looking back at the past 6 weeks?
Interestingly, the use of experts at this trial, because essentially this is a he said, she said, more or less. There are some recordings, and I think if you sort of look at it objectively, the evidence more comes down on his side because she's on recording admitting, that she hit him, and there's a lot of bad recordings of her making admissions, etc. As far as witnesses, there's not too many, fact witnesses. There were a lot of fact witnesses that heard things said about prior events, but the expert testimony was very interesting because it seemed to me like Amber Heard's side in particular, they were trying to paper over the deficiencies in their case with expert witnesses. Now, expert witnesses, they're experts, sure, but whether they're not really witnesses to any of the facts, they're just giving an expert opinion about things. And those experts, there are experts that could have differing opinions. But one of the ones that really struck me, and maybe this was sort of the tide turning for Amber to an extent, was her psychological expert, who was sort of diagnosing Johnny Depp with, narcissistic personality disorder, and that he had domestic violence indicators in his life, without really having ever, interviewed Johnny Depp or clinically assessed him. He was sort of diagnosing him based on, public reports, which they're really not permitted to do as per the American Psychological Association. Mm-hmm. And I thought that he was a very interesting witness. I thought, Ellen Barkin was an interesting witness because she spoke about a time that Johnny Depp lost his cool and threw a wine bottle at a wall in a hotel room. But I think the most compelling witness of all was Johnny Depp himself and Amber Heard. Johnny Depp did, I think, a tremendous job on both direct examination and cross-examination. I mean, he is a fantastic actor, so we would probably expect him to do an incredible job, but he seemed very sincere, and I don't know if that was acting. He just seemed very sincere. And Amber Heard, really, on cross-examination, it was quite striking the level at which she attempted to deceive, the court. She got caught in a number of lies and inconsistent statements, and I thought that was very telling.
Yeah, and going off of that, any specific evidence, because there was so much evidence and video that was presented to the jury. Quite honestly, I'm surprised we're getting the verdict right now. I thought there may have been some other questions for the judge or wanting to re-see some of that photo, audio, video evidence. As far as that goes, any of that was presented, do you think it really could have tipped the scale for the jury here? After seeing it, they're like, absolutely, Amber Heard is lying, or absolutely, Johnny Depp was the abuser.
See, here's the thing. We got to remember, it's a defamation trial. It's not a domestic violence criminal trial. It's not some sort of, order of protection case. It's a defamation trial. And I think the jury has honed in on it by the fact that they were asking questions about the op-ed itself. And, if they did hone in on it, this could go the wrong way for Team Johnny, and not because he wasn't the victim of domestic violence himself, and not because he isn't a good guy that maybe was in a very tumultuous relationship with someone who is diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. So she has a diagnosed personality disorder, whereas he just has a diagnosed substance abuse disorder. But I do think, if you get hung up on the defamation aspect, you really got to look at that op-ed, and the op-ed does not reference him specifically. So it is a little bit of a stretch to say he was defamed in that op-ed. And I know a lot of people are going to be mad because they're sympathetic to Johnny Depp, and I am too. I've represented a ton of men that were in his situation, maybe not as publicly and not as famous as him, but I am sympathetic to him, and I do believe him. But it's a defamation trial at its core.
Absolutely, and those are all solid points. And as we continue to talk about this, no matter, what's your opinion? No matter what happens, though, with this verdict, hasn't Johnny Depp already won? Really, when we're talking about public opinion, you talk about the Johnny Army, how strong these comments and the fuel behind the love for Johnny. So hasn't he sort of already won this part of the case, the public opinion?
I mean, I think we're going to see a movie starring Johnny Depp coming to a theater real soon, or at least Netflix or streaming. But I do think in the court of public opinion, he has come out looking better. And again, I think that's because he came across as very sincere. He didn't run away from the fact that he has drug and alcohol problems. He admits that, and millions of Americans have the same problems or have family members and friends with the same problem. That doesn't necessarily make you a bad person, that you have these problems. And I think the public, by and large, recognizes that. Whereas Amber Heard, on the stand, she really came across as being disingenuous and dishonest, even from her body language. The way every question, instead of answering the attorney and having that dialogue with the attorney, she would sort of turn to face the jury and, in my opinion, ham it up a bit. I mean, there was one point during her cross-examination where she was asked very clearly, you said that you donated $7 million to the ACLU, but you didn't in fact donate it. And she said, well, I pledged it. And they said, well, but you didn't donate it. And she said, well, pledge and donation, I consider them synonymous. They're not synonymous. Pledging that you're going to do something is very different than the act of actually doing it. And you'd have to be an idiot to not understand that and to think that a jury is going to buy that.
Last question for you, Ken, here. Thank you so much for your analysis. We were talking about how this jury is inside of the Fairfax courtroom. Yep. They're watching Johnny Depp. Sure. They're watching Amber Heard, both actors. Amber Heard looking both of them directly, or all of the jury members directly in the eyes the entire time. The jury is not exposed to anything that's going on online. They have no idea what public opinion is for Johnny, the hashtags that are going on that are viral on Twitter. Do you think that maybe it could be a completely different story inside of the courtroom? And I like that you brought up that this is a defamation trial. It has nothing to do with the abuse. Obviously, that plays a part into it, breeding them as people. But this is about if they were defamed. So with the context of the courtroom, what was presented, not anything that the public thinks, do you think that, honestly, this could go into Amber Heard's favor rather than Johnny Depp?
I mean, it could. It could. I think, if anything, leaving public opinion aside, because the public is not the court here. It's the jury that's going to have to decide. It's the jury that's seen the presentation of the evidence. It's the jury that is instructed on the law, meaning what each side must have proven to render a verdict in their favor, not the public. Look, public opinion, he's definitely won that. But, as I said, it's a defamation case. And did they prove that her article defamed him? Now, there's an added layer here. He is a public figure. The law on defamation, with respect to public figures, it's a higher standard. It has to be proven that actual malice was intended, meaning that she sort of meant to defame him, or that she acted with such gross disregard for the truth that there's actually malice in the words spoken. I don't know that her article meets defamation on a regular standard. I'm almost, I hate to say it, I really don't think that her article met it when you apply the public figure actual malice standard. He is not even mentioned by name in that article, and their relationship is actually not even referenced. She talks about things in her childhood with more specificity than she does, and she doesn't go into specifics that much in any event, but there's more specific reference to things in her distant past than with respect to her marriage to Johnny Depp. And again, this is not to say that, I don't sympathize for Johnny Depp or think that he is, in the right and was a genuine victim of domestic violence. It's just, I don't know that her op-ed constituted actual defamation, actionable defamation.
All right, Ken Belkin, thank you so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox. We so appreciate you. We want to alert all of the people who are joining us right now, probably a lot more who are going to be coming on within the hour as we are awaiting the reading of that verdict, 3 o'clock Eastern time inside of that Fairfax County courtroom. We have a couple different shots of the press conference, the podium that has already been set up. The legal team of Johnny Depp going to have to represent him once again because he's not going to be inside of the courtroom. How about that, Mike?
Yeah, that is something when you heard of his weekend activities overseas. So it is really going to be something definitely to see. Daytona, thank you so much for your help here as you'll be with us throughout the day and evening right here on Live Now from Fox with all of this big coverage. Let's go right outside of the courthouse here. You see the media is setting up. We will see who comes to the podium. If anybody after this verdict is read, we are hearing that is happening at 3 p.m. Eastern. We thank all our viewers watching from around the country and, of course, around the world right now. And we are, throughout the day, going to be playing some of the biggest highlights that came from this trial. And boy, was there a lot of them. But this one had a lot of people talking, and it had a lot of our viewers really hitting the click to see just exactly what this all was about. This is, let's take it back out to one of the most explosive back and forths during this trial. Johnny Depp's attorney fired questions at Amber Heard during her second appearance testifying. Depp's attorney started by making statements towards Heard that her lies have been exposed, which she denied, and said she hasn't lied about what happened to her. Let's listen to some of this right here on Live Now from Fox.
Yes, that's effectively what happened, yeah.
You testify that he actually grabbed that woman's wrist and twisted it, right?
And told her that he could effectively break her wrist by saying he knew how many pounds of pressure, or asking her how many pounds of pressure it took to break a human wrist.
But your own witness, your former best friend, Rocky Pennington, she didn't corroborate that, did she?
I'm not quite sure what part of that night she saw. There were a lot of people there.
She didn't testify that Mr. Depp grabbed anyone's wrist in Hicksville.
Again, I don't know what Rocky saw. There were a lot of people there that night.
You testified that once you brought Mr. Depp back to your trailer, he trashed it, correct?
That is correct.
And the manager of the Hicksville trailer park was furious that Johnny had wrecked the whole thing. Do you remember that testimony?
That's correct.
Well, we heard from that manager of the Hicksville trailer park, Morgan Knight, on Monday, didn't we?
I'm not quite sure who that guy was or if he had any involvement in this. I know a lot of people have come out of the woodwork to be involved.
So you're accusing Mr. Knight of testifying and committing perjury?
I'm not accusing anyone. I just don't recognize that man.
You heard Mr. Knight testify that it was actually you who was upset with Mr. Depp spending time away from him. Isn't that correct?
How would he know? He wasn't there.
You heard Mr. Knight testify that it was actually you who was yelling at Mr. Depp.
Again, I've heard a lot of people say a lot of things to be involved in the Johnny Depp show, but he wasn't there. He doesn't know, and he certainly doesn't know what happened behind closed doors, like most people.
So you're calling Mr. Knight a liar?
I am saying he wasn't there, and what he testified to doesn't match what I know happened. But I don't fault him. He wasn't there, so how would he know?
He testified he was there, Ms. Heard. Did you hear that?
That's his testimony, yes.
So you're calling him a liar?
I'm just saying he wasn't there.
You heard Mr. Knight testify that the trailer wasn't trashed, and that's why you're calling him a liar.
He testified that a light fixture was broken, similar to the way that
yes,
Johnny's
other than a light fixture, that was the only thing that was broken, right, Ms. Heard?
And things like that.
The only thing that was broken in the trailer, according to Mr. Knight, was a light fixture. Yes or no?
I realized that he summed it up by saying a light fixture was broken, just the way his security guard summed up him trashing my closet as being rearranged.
Your Honor, I'm going to move to strike everything after he summed it up that it was a light fixture as non-responsive.
She answered the question, Your Honor.
Overruled.
And the security guard testimony, Your Honor?
I'll allow it. Go ahead.
Mr. Knight also testified that he charged Mr. Depp only $62 for the damaged light fixture. You heard that, correct?
I did.
In Hicksville, you were the only one that was jealous that Mr. Depp was spending time from other people. Isn't that correct, Ms. Heard?
That is incorrect.
In Hicksville, you were the one who was upset that Mr. Depp wasn't giving you enough attention.
Incorrect again.
Ms. Heard, you told this jury that you had no idea the press was going to be at the courthouse when you got your TRO on May 27th, 2016. Do you remember that testimony?
I said I did not have anything to do with it. Yes.
No. My question again. You told this jury that you had no idea that the press was going to be outside after you got the ex-parte TRO on May 27th, 2016. Do you remember that testimony?
I apologize. I must have misunderstood Ms. Vasquez. I actually had no idea whether they were going to be there or not. When I walked into the courtroom that day, it was completely quiet, still, empty. Even though I had given Johnny's team notice that I was filing a TRO,
Your Honor, this is not
we had no reason to believe the press knew.
And Your Honor, I would also ask that you instruct the witness to please stop talking once I lodge an objection.
Your Honor, she's trying to answer the question as best she can, and Ms. Vasquez is misrepresenting to her what she testified to.
Well, I'll strike the last part as non-responsive. Just if you could answer the questions asked. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Heard.
In fact, you testified that you were, quote, shocked when you saw press when you were leaving the courthouse. Yes?
Yes.
You weren't shocked at all, though, were you?
Incorrect. It was
You knew the press
horrifying.
would be at the courthouse, right, Ms. Heard?
No.
Well, you did bring your publicist to the courthouse with you on May 27th, 2016, didn't you?
I sure did. I'm a public figure. I brought my publicist in case it blew up. In case. And
You actually
I'm glad
had
I did.
alerted TMZ that you would be filing a TRO against Mr. Depp that very day,
No, I did
didn't
not.
you?
No, I did
The
not.
one day you didn't bother to wear makeup to cover up the mark on your face.
I did not call TMZ or any other news source or paparazzi source. No one.
Well,
I
we
never
heard
did that.
testimony from former TMZ employee Morgan Tremaine yesterday, correct?
Did I hear his testimony?
Yes.
Yes, I was here.
Yes. And you heard Mr. Tremaine's testimony that he knew to dispatch the paparazzi to the courthouse on May 27th, right?
I heard him say that he knew that, yes.
Yeah, and that he dispatched paparazzi to the courthouse to capture a picture of an alleged bruise on the right side of your face. Do you remember him saying that?
I remember him saying that.
That information must have come from your team, right, Ms. Heard?
Absolutely not. Why would I want that? What actual survivor of domestic violence wants that?
Now, the video of Mr. Depp beating up some kitchen cabinets, you admit that you took that video, correct?
Yes, I did.
All right. And you acknowledge that the video was released online the day before you were deposed in connection with your divorce from Mr. Depp in August of 2016, right?
I believe it was, yes.
But you testified that you had absolutely nothing to do with the video's release, right?
Absolutely not.
And you testified that you learned about it when you landed after flying into LA. Do you remember that testimony?
Upon touchdown is when I was alerted to the video's
You
existence
heard Mr.
online.
Tremaine testify that about this video as well yesterday, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
And you heard Mr. Tremaine testify that TMZ received the cabinet video the same day you landed at LAX, yes?
I don't know if I don't know if that's what his testimony was. I'm sorry.
You heard Mr. Tremaine testify that the cabinet video was posted 15 minutes after TMZ received it, yes?
That's what I heard him say.
And that this could only have been possible if the video was received directly from the source, yes?
I heard him say that. I don't know if that's true or if that's possible because it didn't come from me. I was
Mr.
flying.
Tremaine
So
testify.
I know that's incorrect is what I mean to say.
Another liar on the stand?
I just know that that's incorrect.
Right. And you heard Mr. Tremaine testify that TMZ owns the copyright to the cabinet video, right?
That's news to me.
The cabinet video you filmed of your then husband, yes?
The copyright ownership of that is news to me. I learned that yesterday.
It's the cabinet video that you captured of your then husband, yes?
That is correct. I did capture that video, and
The
yes,
cabinet
that was
video-
my husband.
The same cabinet video that was released the night before you were deposed in your divorce, yes?
That's correct.
Okay. You must have also heard Mr. Tremaine testify that the version of the cabinet video that TMZ received was incomplete compared to the video the jury saw in this trial. Did you hear that?
The video that that you have seen is complete.
Right. But the one TMZ got the day before your deposition in the divorce was incomplete.
I don't know. I haven't seen it.
He testified that at the beginning portion of the video where you set up the camera, that wasn't included in the video that TMZ received.
I don't know what video TMZ
I'm talking
received.
about Mr. Tremaine's testimony, Ms. Heard. Let's just
So you're
focus on
asking me
Mr.
to
Tremaine.
repeat his testimony?
No, I'm asking you if you recall hearing him say those words to this jury.
Yes,
Under oath.
I heard his testimony. We all did.
And he testified that the end of the video where you can see... Ms. Heard, you just testified that this case has been very hard for you. So let's talk about that and why.
All right.
All right, so that was one of the big moments there as well. Obviously, so much to be talked about in this trial. There was a lot of highlights, and we're going to continue that right here on Live Now from Fox. We have thrown out our breaks here for most of you right now that are joining us here on Live Now from Fox. Any moment, this verdict will be announced in the defamation trial. So stay right here with us. We are not going anywhere here for you. The next highlight I want to show you is Johnny Depp on the stand saying that Amber Heard set me up to look bad in photos. Take a look at this right here on Live Now from Fox.
That the last few years before Amber, that your relationship with your kids was such that there was a perception by them that you weren't around for them, and that all changed when Amber came into your life, correct?
Objection calls for speculation.
Just asking what he's aware of.
I'll allow it.
May I have the question one more time, please?
You're aware that, sure. You're aware that the last few years before you started dating Amber, that there was a perception by your kids that you weren't around, and that all changed when Amber came into your life.
This is not exactly the truth of what you're trying to put forth.
No, I'm just asking if you were aware of my question, that there was a perception that you weren't around for the last couple of years before Amber, and that changed when Amber came into your life. That's all I'm asking.
Asked and answered, Your Honor.
There were extenuating
That
circumstances.
sure is the answer. Without objection, I'll overrule that objection.
Thank you. You're also aware that there was a perception, you were made aware, that Lily Rose believed that Amber was a good influence on you and changed you for the better, correct?
Objection, hearsay, Your Honor.
Just asking for what his understanding is.
I'll sustain the objection. Let's move on.
All right.
Very brief
You don't have
period.
to, you don't have to answer that question. I sustain the objection.
I'm sorry.
That's fine. Next question.
You're aware of the lengths that Miss Heard went to care for you when you were impaired on drugs or alcohol, correct?
You'd have to be specific. More
Okay.
specific, please.
Let's be specific. Sorry. Can you please pull up Exhibit 839? Your Honor, this is a recording. And we plan to play 6 minutes and 55 seconds through 7 minutes and 29 seconds.
Is this a recording we already have in? No, this
I
is a
don't-
tape recording.
I don't believe so, but I'm not 100% sure if this has been
839.
the defendant's 839.
Is there any objection to that audio recording?
I don't believe, assuming this is an audio recording between Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard, then we have no objection.
All
It
right.
is.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And so no objection to it being entered in evidence, correct?
That's
And
correct.
it's full content, but we're just playing a portion of it, is that
That's
correct?
exactly
Okay.
right.
All right,
Yep.
839 in evidence then. Okay, thank you.
And permission to play the clip mentioned to the jury?
Okay, I assume there's no objection since it's in. That's fine, go ahead.
By pounding on the door and waking up every 15 minutes and then falling asleep next to the door so I could hear you snore. In case if you vomited, I could call EMS if you ever stopped snoring.
Because you were
if
afraid
I
I was
could-
going to die.
I thought you would choke on your own vomit, which is very likely with you.
Really?
Yes, very
But I
likely.
vomit a lot.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes, you do vomit a lot in your sleep, even more.
Good.
Oh, it's news to you? Then this is affecting you a lot more than I thought it was.
That'll be used.
Can you please pull up Defendant's Exhibit 1094?
Your Honor, may we approach briefly?
Mr. Depp, do you recognize this picture as being a picture of you?
Yes, Miss Heard kindly showed it to me the day after she took it, yes.
Okay. This picture, I'd move for the admission of Defendant's Exhibit 1094 and ask for permission to publish, Your Honor.
We have no objection, Your Honor.
This is a picture of you on a black leather couch, passed out, correct?
Passed out's an interesting way of putting it. Maybe asleep.
Where is it? What residence?
That's in Boston.
I'm sorry?
That was in Boston when I was doing Black Mass.
In Boston. And that's ice cream on your lap, correct?
It is indeed. Ms. Heard asked me to hold the ice cream as she noticed that I was on the nod. That means falling asleep from the 17-hour day that I'd worked and also the opiates that I'd ingested. And if you'll notice, my right hand is in my pocket. So I wasn't participating in the Festival of Ice Cream.
Okay.
I was holding her ice cream, and because she knew what was going to happen,
Okay.
that I would fall asleep and it would drop. And that was a wonderful picture to take for her.
Sure.
I don't know why she took it, but
Well, so it's Miss Heard's fault that that picture was taken. Is that what you're saying?
she snapped it.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about this because you say you were in Boston. This is when you were filming Black Mass,
Yes, sir.
and you testified that that was kind of the last film that you did when you were taking opiates, right?
Yes, it was right before the the trip to the island.
And you testified yesterday that opiates, you don't take opiates to get high, right? You've testified to that on a couple different occasions, correct?
You certainly can take opiates to get high. If I doubled the dose, then I would most assuredly be ready for sleep.
Right.
That's not a blackout. That's
Sure. So if you double
sleep.
the dose, you'd be ready for sleep, but it wouldn't get you high in the way that other drugs would, correct?
Well, the high is it's a extreme downer. That's its job.
Right, and for that reason, I believe you testified yesterday or 2 days ago. It's not like you take those pills to get high. You remember giving that testimony, correct?
I said that it's not like I took the pills to get high. I took the pills to
Thank
be
you.
normal, to stay normal, so
Okay,
that I
let's
wouldn't
pull up
get sick.
866, please.
What number did you say? I'm sorry.
Defendant's Exhibit 866.
But I also believe that I said that I asked Nurse, or I told Nurse Debbie that I had told her that I needed more than I actually took because I always wanted to have 1 or 2 in my pocket just in case the kick started.
If you could take a look at the text at the top of that page.
Yes.
It's a text exchange between you and Erin Borum. Erin Borum, you testified as one of Dr. Kipper's nurses, right?
Yes, sir.
And this is a text exchange that you had with her in August and September 2016, correct?
Sorry, I'm looking for the. Oh, yes. Which one are we looking at here?
The
Up at the
top
top.
3. And in the first, she tells you that she's watching Black Mass for the third
Yes.
time, right?
So August 30th, yes.
Yep. And, Your Honor, I'd move for, I'd like to admit this exhibit 866 and permission to publish, please, and particularly.
All right, that was just another highlight that we have here for you right here on Live Now from Fox. Obviously, the moment is coming up pretty soon, maybe more than just a little over 20 minutes away. We're taking you inside of the courtroom right now. This is where it will all go down. The verdict in the Johnny Depp Amber Heard defamation trial. It was reached about an hour and a half ago, and now we are awaiting the results there, the announcement. Of course, we got you covered right here on Live Now from Fox. Always in the mix here for you. Got several shots outside of the courthouse as well. Media is all set up as we await this verdict right here. And in just a little bit, we will be talking to Fox 5's Katie Barlow with the very latest leading up to this verdict of this trial that has spanned 6 weeks. It has captured the attention of millions, not only in this country, but really around the world right now. And it's really something that has been a phenomenon, not only for TV, but social media. I mean, you really couldn't go too far away from social media, and you saw the different types of memes and all different really ideas from both sides, if you were in the Johnny Depp camp or if you were in the Amber Heard camp there. So this is just some video from past trial dates, and of course we feature it for you always right here on Live Now from Fox. Everybody, let's continue on. I just want to play out some more highlights here for just a little bit before we get back out to live coverage here on Live Now from Fox. Want to play out more right here for you of some of the very big highlights that the trial that was here in the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial right here on Live Now from Fox.
I could get away, absolutely. If it meant a difference between a sore face and a broken nose, you bet I would.
That's your testimony under oath that you never struck Mr. Depp as the initial aggressor?
Well, he was holding me against the wall by my neck. You know, I might be the first person to have been the first one to slap, which happened in Australia, you know, and he was choking me, but I wouldn't say I was the initial aggressor in that situation.
You got physical with Mr. Depp often during your relationship, didn't you?
I had to defend myself as best I could. Didn't seem to make much of a difference.
You just couldn't control yourself, could you, Ms. Heard?
I tried to defend myself when I could, but it was after years of not defending myself.
Can we please pull up Plaintiff's Exhibit 356? And Your Honor, portions of the exhibit were entered into evidence yesterday, but we moved to admit the entire recording. And I can confirm that there's no other voices besides Ms. Heard's and Mr. Depp's. And I intend to play from 1:29:27 to 1:30:07.
So I have 356A in evidence. Is any objection to the entire 356 coming into evidence?
If I may.
Okay,
Hold on just for
sure.
a moment, Your Honor. I have to check on something. Which one?
All right, that was just some of the highlights. Obviously, we are getting close to that verdict. I'm your host, Mike Page. Right here, I have my co-host, Daytona Everett, joining us here on Live Now from Fox. And right now, we want to go out to Fox 5's Katie Barlow, joining us here on Live Now from Fox Live, right here for us. And, well, the moment has come, and now we wait, Katie. What is the scene like right outside of the courthouse?
Good afternoon to both of you. The scene right outside the courthouse is getting a little busier, but still quieter than it has been compared to the duration of this 6-week trial. The jury's been deliberating since Friday. They told us just after lunch that they have reached a verdict in the defamation lawsuit between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. You can see behind me there are cars pulling up, including some black SUVs. We just got word that Amber Heard is on her way to the courthouse. She will be here in person for the verdict. We also heard from sources close to Johnny Depp that he will not be here for the verdict. He played a concert in the UK last night, would not be able to make the trip back. He will be watching, according to the source from the UK. Amber Heard will be here in person. Throughout the course of this trial, there have been a lot of folks who have been lining up, sometimes in the wee hours of the morning, to be able to get a glimpse of what it's like inside the courtroom. Only 100 individuals have been lucky enough to get in each day, including members of the press. So there have been a lot of people who have gathered outside who were not fortunate enough to get inside the courtroom. They are not here and haven't been here for the past couple of days, but I suspect we'll start to see a crowd grow over the next hour or so. But again, as you said, we will get the verdict from the jury. The announcement will happen at 3 p.m. when both sides' lawyers and Amber Heard and the judge and the 7 members of the jury will go inside the courtroom and the jury will deliver their verdict. But again, you can see behind me There are folks pulling up. There is a crowd that has gathered. They haven't been here for most of today. So that crowd has just gathered in the last 30 minutes or so, even in the last 10 minutes or so. And so I expect that to continue to grow as we get closer to the verdict and after it's announced.
All right, Katie Barlow breaking it all down for us. Fox 5 DC in the action right now outside of that courthouse as we are about 15 minutes away. We appreciate it, Katie, right here on Live Now from Fox. Well, the moment is coming, and Daytona, my co-host right here on Live Now from Fox, you could feel the anticipation growing in this trial that continues to be talked about on such a wide scale.
Yeah, not only is inside of the courtroom such a spectacle, but outside of the courtroom too, right where Katie Barlow is standing, has also been something to watch. People have been paying thousands of dollars, Mike, to travel out to Fairfax County to witness Johnny Depp inside of the courtroom there. There was a massive ship yesterday, people showing up in full costume, all Pirates of the Caribbean out, mostly in favor of Johnny. We haven't seen a whole lot of Amber Heard fans, but the demographics also across the board, all different ages, a lot of women showing up in favor of Johnny Depp there outside of the courtroom. So this has really been something, and I'm sure a lot of the fans out there that have shown up to support Johnny Depp probably a little bit frustrated that he will unfortunately not be there, but the reporting that Amber Heard is going to be inside, and we'll also be hearing from his legal team, Camille Vasquez, who is that legal representation for Johnny Depp. There's been a lot of word about her. She has gotten a lot of FaceTime. She is now, I feel like, recognized by so many who have been following this trial closely here. So we are coming up on the top of the hour, 15 minutes out from when this verdict will be read. Throughout this entire trial, the judge has been spot on with her timing, Mike, so I think we are going to hear it right then at the minute.
Yeah, and definitely when that moment comes, no matter what we're in, no matter what we're playing, we are going to go right inside of that courtroom and bring it to you, just like if you were there. We know our viewers have been with us, really our gavel-to-gavel coverage from the very beginning, so we appreciate you joining us here from around the country and around the world as we take a look right outside of the courthouse here. We are being told that pretty soon Amber Heard is expected to arrive, so we will keep this shot going for everybody right here on Live Now from Fox. While we do wait for this moment at the top of the hour, it is expected the verdict will be in. Let's go out to some more highlights of the trial. Let's go out to when Johnny Depp was on stand. Amber Heard refused to give meds during detox. Let's listen to that one. Had a lot of people talking a couple of weeks ago when this was on.
Mr. Depp, who's Dr. Kipper?
Dr. Kipper is he's been my doctor ever since I'd met him in, I believe it was that May of 2014, around there in Boston.
And why were you connected with Dr. Kipper?
My sister Christy knew, of course, that I had been addicted to the opiates, and she was concerned, and she brought me his book and talked to me heart to heart, and asked me if I would be willing to go through the detox.
And what was your answer?
Yes, of course.
And you mentioned Debbie Lloyd. Can you please explain to the jury who she is?
Oh, Debbie Lloyd is a nurse who my doctor, Dr. Kipper, had assigned to my case to be the to oversee the detox and deliver the medications to me that would help with my with the effects of withdrawal that one goes through, to essentially try and knock you out so that you don't go through.
Going right now inside of the courtroom here, you could see Amber Heard taking the seat right here. Let's listen into the courthouse here as we are waiting now the judge to come here. But obviously the moment is coming very, very close right here on Live Now from Fox. Of course, we got you covered so many ways right here. And so this is the moment. Amber Heard already there. We know that Johnny Depp will not be here. So that was a big announcement that came earlier today when we heard that the verdict was in. Johnny was not going to be in the courthouse here, but we just had Amber Heard sit down as we are about 10 minutes away from this moment. I want to bring in once again my co-host here, Daytona Everett, that we've been watching this for quite some time, a 6-week trial plus, and now it is coming down to this moment, Daytona.
Yeah, Mike, I'm assuming a lot of people who are tuning in right now have been watching every single second of this trial, but for those of you who maybe are just interested and haven't been following it as much, let me just summarize what we're watching here. Johnny Depp is suing Amber Heard for libel in this Fairfax County Circuit Court over an op-ed that she wrote for the Washington Post in 2018. The piece was headlined, "I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change." That was the headline that's in question. In the piece, she referenced herself as a public figure representing domestic abuse. Heard never mentioned Depp by name, but Depp's lawyers argue her writing was a clear reference to abuse accusations that Heard made when she sought a 2016 restraining order against him. Throughout this trial, Depp has denied he ever struck Heard and says she was the abuser in the relationship. Heard has testified about more than a dozen separate instances of physical abuse. She says that she suffered at Depp's hands. Lots of finger pointing here, Mike. Depp said that his movie career suffered after the op-ed was published and that the accusations in the article made him a Hollywood outcast and cost him his role in the lucrative Pirates of the Caribbean movie franchise, although throughout this trial, there has been rumors and whispers, Mike, that could change potentially. Heard's lawyers have argued that Heard's opinion piece was accurate and did not defame him. They've said that Depp's career downfall and ruined reputation was due to his own bad behavior, and have argued that the Walt Disney Company had already decided to axe Johnny Depp from Pirates of the Caribbean months before the article's publication. Also, Amber Heard filed the $100 million counterclaim against Johnny Depp after his former lawyer called her claims of abuse a hoax. Heard's lawyers have said that his attorney made those statements about Johnny Depp, something that Depp, of course, denies. There's quite the timeline to their relationship, Mike. The two met in 2009 while filming The Rum Diary. Despite their 22-year age difference, Heard testified there was an instant connection when Depp met with her as he considered her for a role in the film here. She said, as she testified on the stand, she said, "I was a no-name actor. I was 22. He was twice my age. He's this world-famous actor, and here we are getting along without about obscure books and old blues." Many testifying that Amber Heard was always kind of an old soul when it came to all of that. He was then 36 years old. She's now 36 years old, I guess I should say. While they had chemistry during the filming of the movie, she said they didn't begin dating until doing a press tour for the film's release in 2011. At the outset, they kept their relationship a secret at first there. Heard testified that the first act of physical abuse against her by Depp happened in 2013. The two eventually married in February of 2014, reportedly at their Los Angeles home, but they did not last long. We would later learn that, Mike. In May of 2016, Heard filed for divorce and obtained a temporary restraining order against Johnny Depp. Their divorce was finalized in early 2017, with Heard saying that she was going to donate her $7 million settlement to charity. Heard's op-ed was then published to the Washington Post in 2018. In 2019, Depp filed a $50 million defamation lawsuit against her. Heard then countersued for $100 million. The trial, of course, beginning April 12th. Throughout the trial, there's been so many different ups and downs, Mike. I mean, they've talked about their relationship. They've talked about Johnny Depp's alcohol and drug abuse, the trips that they've gone on together, the highs and lows, truly.
Yeah, and absolutely. Any way you look at this, it's really just, at the end of the day, a really sad case, because you have two people that came together, they liked each other in the beginning, they got married, and then for some reason or another, things went south, and boy, when things go south in this relationship, unfortunately, it really, really did. And what we saw from a country and really around the world, an audience that was just captivated really on every twist and turn and every new type of evidence that was being brought inside of this courtroom. It really captivated a nation, but it was almost at times, it was like you were watching a train wreck, especially when you would see the different types of videos and audio recordings, and you're thinking, wait, at one point, did these people actually love each other? Because how is this even possible? But at the end of the day, they did get married, and then things went really bad, really fast, unfortunately, there. But right now, we are inside of the courtroom, everyone. Daytona Everett is joining me here as we wait for this moment, less than 5 minutes. And what we've really become accustomed to throughout this whole trial is that the judge, for the most part, is really on time, very punctual. So when they say 3 p.m. Eastern, I think it's going to be pretty close to that 3 p.m. Eastern marker there. And at this moment, you don't have Johnny Depp there. You do have Amber Heard. Let's just talk about this really quick. What type of statement is that, do you think?
What type of statement?
That Johnny Depp may be trying to portray.
With not showing up to the courtroom, I think that he is enjoying himself in London right now. Once again, if you weren't aware of this, yeah, Johnny Depp's not even going to be there to hear this verdict. He seems pretty confident. He seemed pretty confident walking in and out of the courtroom every day. We've shown that raw video of him walking in and waving to fans, which many of these fans, as we reported, have been camping out, paying thousands and thousands of dollars, some traveling from around the world to just witness him coming in. He's always smiling. He's blasting music in his car before he heads inside of the courtroom, not looking at his ex-wife, Amber Heard, once. That was a huge part of testimony. When she was up on the stand, Camille Vasquez even asking Amber Heard about it, saying, "Why do you think he's not looking at you, Amber?" And Amber having to say, I don't know why he's not looking at me. And then there was audio testimony of him saying that he was never going to look at her again. This was in the midst of their divorce and the restraining order and all of that. So just another part of the theatrics of all of this, Mike. I've spoken with so many legal experts throughout this trial who have said this is so, I think so many people are attached to it because really it's so much acting. I mean, you have two famous actors that are sitting up there on the stand. They are performing for the jury. They're performing for everyone who's sitting inside of that courtroom, and some saying that maybe Johnny Depp performed a little bit better there. But yep, he's not going to be there. He is performing, has been performing in front of a sold-out crowd alongside Jeff Beck at the Royal Albert Hall in London for 3 nights in a row. As he was awaiting the verdict in this defamation trial against his ex-wife. He even invited his ex-girlfriend, Kate Moss, to the concert on Tuesday night, just last night. That's according to a source with the Hollywood star. Moss, of course, was called as a rebuttal witness in Johnny Depp's defamation trial. She is a part of this trial, too, and here they both are, just kind of hanging out in London and not seemingly not too worried about all of this. Here's what I find interesting, Mike, is I mean, there's millions of dollars that are on the line for Johnny Depp and for Amber Heard. Although Amber Heard has testified, it's not about the money for her. It's about getting her name straight and saying that, hey, I'm not a liar. For Johnny Depp, he also says it's not about the money. He is also saying he wants to get his name straight and he wants to, of course, be able to book some of these new jobs and be able to play in roles such as Pirates of the Caribbean. So not sure if they both were able to do that successfully through this trial, but they have gotten a lot more attention, that is for sure. So we are just 1 minute out from when this verdict is supposedly going to be read. We do believe it is going to be on time here, and there are so many different outcomes of this trial, of this defamation trial. Potentially Johnny Depp could win, potentially Amber Heard could win. The dollar amount could very much vary in this circumstance, Mike.
Yeah, absolutely. And at the end of the day, you know, because there's a monetary money type of situation there, somebody will win. But you know, a lot of people that have been watching this, does anybody win in a case like this when you've seen two really broken people really describing that the once love that they had for each other, and then just seeing that demise and seeing that really roller coaster come down there. And it's been tragic to say the least here, but we are awaiting this moment, everyone, right here on Live and Now from Fox. The clock has ticked. It is now 3 o'clock Eastern. This is the moment that we have been waiting for. The judge is in. Let's listen right here on Live Now from Fox.
Please be seated. Come on.
All right. I understand we have a verdict. All right, are we ready for the jury?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Just for everybody in the gallery, reminder that this is a court of law, and regardless of the verdict, I will not tolerate any outbursts whatsoever. Okay? Thank you. If I could have the attorneys approach for a moment.
And we continue to wait right now. Amber Heard, we see front and center. The lawyers just went to speak to the judge at her request. We continue to wait for this moment right here on Live Now from Fox.
All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, what I need you to do, I need to give the forms back to you. When you find for a defamatory statement, one or more, you need to fill out the compensatory damages. It has to be at least $1 for compensatory damages and up to whatever you feel the damages should be. And for punitive damages, you can put a 0 there, or you can fill out that as well, but I need those lines filled out, okay? All right, so if I can have you retire back to the operation room and do that for me, okay?
And really, the drama continues right now as the judge has asked the jury to go back in. They have to file and redo some of their paperwork. Right now, you see Amber Heard there standing with her attorneys here, and really you felt
So
that
we'll be in recess till we
anticipation.
hear back from them. Don't go too far, okay?
Okay, so she just instructed Amber Heard and the rest of everyone to not go too far. But as I was saying, you were feeling that anticipation inside of the courtroom, and now we wait some more. Let's bring in right now my co-host, Daytona Everett. You've been with me all day today on this, and now we wait, Daytona.
Yeah, yet another delay in this. Unfortunately, probably shouldn't take too long, I would imagine. So we're going to be staying in full coverage inside of the courtroom, also outside of the courtroom where we have some podiums that are set up to get some analysis on this. Though I want to bring in Ken Belkin. He's on the line virtually with us to talk about what is going on inside of the courtroom. There has been a bit of a delay in this, Ken. Why is that, and what happens now?
It looks to me like they have to fill out the verdict sheet more accurately or completely. Jurors are not lawyers, and they're given a sheet to fill out with respect to the damages. It looks like it wasn't filled out completely, and they need to just go back in there and address it. It seems like, they've already got a verdict, so they just have to dot their I's and cross their T's with respect to the details on the verdict sheet that this court uses.
So let's talk about that verdict sheet, because I've looked at it myself and it's pretty confusing. It's not super straightforward. This is different than a different type of case where it's like a murder case or something. This is defamation, and they have to fill it out pretty intricately with those dollar amounts. What have you made of the sheet there?
Well, they have to first reach the question of liability, and then they have to determine, how, if there is liability, on which side, who's liable to who. Is Amber Heard liable to Johnny Depp for her alleged defamation of him in her Washington Post op-ed article, or is he liable to her in her countersuit? And they have to reach the question of liability first, and then once that question is reached, they have to determine how much the damages are here. It's one thing that one person be liable to the other, but the other question is for how much. Did, Depp's team establish an amount of damages that this court can award, or did Heard's team establish an amount of damages for this court to award? And we're going to see the answer to those questions, I imagine, within the hour.
Okay, so you think within the hour they'll be able to go back and kind of fix some of those changes and come back and be able to read it in full here?
Yeah, it seems like they've already made a decision on the ultimate issues here. They just have to, figure out what the numbers look like.
What's remote 30?
Okay, so we're going to be watching for that. Ken, as we move forward here into the rest of the day, after the verdict is read, what happens then? How quickly do things kind of go into pace? How quickly could potentially one of them get the money? I know that maybe there's a lot of moving parts in that, but defamation cases, what does that usually look like?
Well, look, in any civil lawsuit setting, it's one thing to win the case. It's another thing to get the money. And what I mean by that, I'm not trying to be coy, but the reality is, if there is a substantial amount awarded to either side, these are both moneyed parties. They can afford attorney's fees. I imagine that they're probably going to appeal it. And on appeal, attempt to get the appeals court to either, invalidate the verdict or to knock down the damages awards on some question of law that was decided wrongly at the trial. Or what they're going to do is, potentially appeal it, and then it might be settled on appeal, meaning the parties might, while the appeal is pending, reach an agreement as to how much is to be paid. That's one aspect. That's assuming that there's going to be an appeal. And I think if there is a substantial amount of money, if $50 million is awarded to one of these parties, or $100 million in Amber Heard's case, which she's asking for, it really makes sense to appeal it, because you're not going to spend $50 million on an appeal. They may spend, $100,000 or a couple $100,000 on an appeal, depending on what lawyer they use, what firm they use. But it would make sense probably to try and as a last-ditch effort to appeal it. Now, if there is no appeal, and the parties decide to just, accept the verdict, they could pay that. The parties could be paid within a certain amount of time, probably not that long. The other thing is, if there's a verdict and, one of the parties decides that they're going to try and, evade the verdict, the party that is won would have to get a judgment and file that judgment with the clerk's office and begin enforcement proceedings on the judgment. Meaning, let's say, for example, if Johnny Depp wins against Amber Heard, and let's say he wins $10 million and she doesn't pay him that $10 million, what he would be able to do is take that judgment, and to enforce it, he could go after her bank accounts, he could put liens on assets that she owns, and get the judgment satisfied that way. But sometimes people can evade judgments. You look at O.J. Simpson, he won the criminal case, but he lost the wrongful death case, the civil case. And there was a very substantial judgment against him. I believe, and I'm going off memory, it was tens of millions of dollars. And what he did to evade that judgment, he was very savvy. He bought a home in Florida and he moved to Florida. And in Florida, if you have a home in Florida, that home is immune from judgments if it is your primary home due to the Homestead Act. So there are things that, savvy lawyers and individuals can do to evade having to pay judgments.
I have to assume a lot of those things likely will come into play here. Both of these parties never backing down. Let's remember, Ken, this isn't the first type of litigation that this couple has been involved in. They have been in lawsuits before.
Yes, this is a highly litigious couple. Everything down to their divorce, to the UK defamation action that Mr. Depp launched against, I believe it was the Sun. They're highly litigious, and these are wealthy individuals. They have the money to spend on attorneys. A lot of people don't have the money to spend on attorneys, and they have to make more pragmatic decisions when it comes to litigation. They have the benefit of not having to be pragmatic at all. And I don't say that to be glib or funny, but it's true. He's got, tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars. He can afford some lawyers to appeal this if he's lost. He can afford, to go and try and evade the judgment through creative means. And so can she, for that matter. And it doesn't look like any ground has been given. I have to imagine any judgment that's rendered here as a result of the verdict, I get the feeling that whoever the liable party is, they're probably going to try and avoid paying even one red cent to the other, because there is such acrimony on both sides here.
Boy, and we've seen that play out there all in real time there. I've got a question too, just as far as right now we're dealing with house cleaning pretty much, as the jury is asked to fill out more of this paperwork for the verdict here, for the monetary aspect of it. But so maybe just explain for our viewers here, when a verdict comes in, and does anybody see that until the judge is going to read it out?
No one should see a verdict until it's read into the record and the verdict sheet is incorporated into the record by the judge. That verdict sheet is the confidential work of the jury right now, and until such time as it's read into the record by the court or brought into the record by the court, it's not. No one's going to see it. No one should see it anyway.
And really, as we were looking there at Amber Heard, because she was the only one there before in this party, obviously Johnny Depp not there, you have the buildup of the judge coming out, and then it almost plays out like a Hollywood script to give you sort of a cliffhanger right now.
Yeah, we are all waiting with bated breath. If I were any of these attorneys, I would not be going too far from the courtroom to get my afternoon cup of coffee, because we're gonna, this is a big case, and these attorneys all have a lot on the line, and the parties all have a lot on the line. I mean, we're talking about very substantial amounts of money.
Well, there you have it. Ken Belkin, thank you so much for being with us here on Live Now from Fox, breaking it down ahead of the verdict and now breaking it down for this delay, which we'll be watching inside of the courtroom as things continue to move forward. Hopefully, like you said, within the hour, we'll be getting another readout. No stalling, hopefully anymore, and it'll just come out here, and we'll be able to get some much warranted answers. Ken, thanks again for being with us. We are going to continue to stay on this full coverage of the Johnny Depp Amber Heard defamation trial here as we are in somewhat of a recess, I guess you could say, just a little bit of a delay with this readout going to be coming within the next hour or really any moment here. We have a couple of different live looks, Mike, if you want to pop up some of the shots from outside of this Fairfax County courtroom. I hadn't really heard much about this courtroom, Mike, until this trial right here. There have been thousands of people flocking to Fairfax County to try to just get a glimpse of Johnny Depp as he goes inside every single day, shows up with his driver. Amber Heard also showing up with her driver. She is getting some booze. He is getting some "we love you, Johnnies." That has been all of the semantics kind of surrounding this defamation case that has everybody on the edge of their seat, including me, Mike, including you.
Yep.
We're hoping to get some answers here pretty soon. But we've been playing out some of those highlights.
Yeah, we really have. And yeah, anticipation continues to grow, no doubt about it, Daytona. And thank you again for being here as my co-anchor during this really a big time here that we continue to wait for the moment. If you just are joining us here on Live Now from Fox, the jury was sent back to fill out some paperwork regarding the verdict here. So there was that anticipation. And then there's this lull right now. The lull only for a little bit. Any moment, the judge could come out and the jury could come back at any moment. That's why we say, hey, just stay with it. We're not going anywhere. All of the commercial breaks have been blown out. And right now, oh, here it is. Here it is. So let's listen in right here on Live Now from Fox as it looks like maybe the jury could be coming pretty soon right here on Live Now from Fox as we continue to wait for this very big moment. We appreciate all our viewers around the country and around the world joining live right here, right now. In the meantime, while we do wait for the jury to get back in, as well as the judge, let's go out to our station from Fox 5 DC. They are covering this right now as well. Let's listen into a little bit of their coverage. Stay right here with us on Live Now from Fox.
Until this verdict comes down.
Let me ask you a quick question. Would you say that most of the people that are standing outside, are they from the DMV or have they traveled far and beyond to be a part of this moment?
I mean, it is, 3:15 on this Wednesday afternoon. So people sure seem to have been able to drop whatever they're doing and make it out here for this in the middle of the day. So we honestly just got to the scene here. We're hoping to be able to get to talk to some people here about what brought them out here. So certainly something we'll continue trying to figure out here.
All right, David, we'll stand by. We'll check back in with you. As we mentioned before, you're taking a look at the courtroom right now. It is empty. Well, not the judge's podium is empty because the judge has gone back presumably to her chamber. She directed the jury to go back to their deliberation room to figure out some sort of monetary damage. Once again, though, we have not had any firm idea on the verdict. So as Katie Barlow mentioned, what that may indicate is that they conveyed to the judge that there was some sort of liability, although not clear on whose side.
You know, Jim, I have to say I was a bit surprised yesterday when the jury had that question about the headline of the op-ed, because it seems the whole premise of the case is surrounding that headline, and yet there was a question surrounding it. And now we're on, what, day 2 or day 3, 2.5 days that it's taken them for deliberation. So it seems to be that there is a lot of confusion setting up potentially at least an appeal for either side.
Yeah, you mentioned the headline. It's I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change, and that seems to be at least something that caught the eye of the jury, determining, does that play a role in defamation? Was that something that Amber Heard said? Was that something that the Washington Post decided to put as the headline of that op-ed? Because in most cases it is.
And we go back out right here on Live Now from Fox as this is the moment here as the jury is coming back in. Let's listen right here on Live Now from Fox.
All right. Shall we try this again? All right. Let's do that. All right. We're ready for the jury. Mr. Foreperson, is this the verdict of the jury?
Yes.
All right. Is it unanimous? Yes. Thank you, sir. Jamie?
In civil case number CL 2019-2911, Mr. Depp's claim against Ms. Heard. 1. As to the statement appearing in the online op-ed entitled Amber Heard, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change. In the Washington Post online edition, quote, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change, end quote. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. Has Mr. Depp proven by a greater weight of the evidence that, question, the statement was made or published by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was false? Answer, yes. Question, the statement has a defamatory implication about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the defamatory implication was designed and intended by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, due to circumstances surrounding the publication of this statement, it conveyed a defamatory implication to someone who saw it other than Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven by clear and convincing evidence that Ms. Heard acted with actual malice? Answer, yes. 2, as to the statement appearing in the op-ed entitled A Transformative Moment for Women in the Washington Post print edition and the online op-ed, Amber Heard, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change, in the Washington Post online edition. Quote, then 2 years ago, I became a public figure representing domestic abuse, and I felt the full force of our culture's wrath for women who speak out, end quote. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. Has Mr. Depp proven by a greater weight of the evidence that, question, the statement was made or published by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was false? Answer, yes. Question, the statement has a defamatory implication about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the defamatory implication was designed and intended by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, due to circumstances surrounding the publication of the statement, it conveyed a defamatory implication to someone who saw it other than Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven by clear and convincing evidence that Ms. Heard acted with actual malice? Answer, yes. 3. As to the statement appearing in the op-ed entitled "A Transformative Moment for Women" in the Washington Post print edition and the online op-ed, Amber Heard, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change, in the Washington Post online edition. Quote, I had the rare vantage point of seeing in real time how institutions protect men accused of abuse, end quote. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. Has Mr. Depp proven by a greater weight of the evidence that question, the statement was made or published by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was false? Answer, yes. Question, the statement has a defamatory implication about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the defamatory implication was designed and intended by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, due to circumstances surrounding the publication of this statement, it conveyed a defamatory implication to someone who saw it other than Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven by clear and convincing evidence that Ms. Heard acted with actual malice? Answer, yes. As against Amber Heard, we, the jury, award compensatory damages in the amount of $10 million. As against Amber Heard, we, the jury, award punitive damages in the amount of $5 million. In civil case number CL 2019-2911, Ms. Heard's claim against Mr. Depp. 1. As to this statement appearing in the April 8, 2020 online edition of the Daily Mail, quote, Amber Heard and her friends in the media used fake sexual violence allegations as both a sword and shield, depending on their needs. They have selected some of her sexual violence hoax facts as the sword, inflicting them on the public and Mr. Depp. Do you find that Ms. Heard has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, no. 2. As to this statement appearing in the April 27, 2020 online edition of the Daily Mail, quote, quite simply, this was an ambush, a hoax. They set Mr. Depp up by calling the cops, but the first attempt did not do the trick. The officers came to the penthouses, thoroughly searched and interviewed, and left after seeing no damage to face or property. So Amber and her friends spilled a little wine and roughed the place up, got their story straight under the direction of a lawyer and publicist, and then placed a second call to 911, end quote. Do you find that Ms. Heard has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. Has Ms. Heard proven by a greater weight of the evidence that, question, Mr. Waldman, while acting as an agent for Mr. Depp, made or published the statement? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was about Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was seen by someone other than Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was false? Answer, yes. Do you find that Ms. Heard has proven by clear and convincing evidence that the statement by Mr. Waldman was made with actual malice? Answer, yes. 3. As to this statement appearing in the April 27, 2020 online edition of the Daily Mail, quote, we've reached the beginning of the end of Ms. Heard's abuse hoax against Johnny Depp, end quote. Do you find that Ms. Heard has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, no. As against John C. Depp II, we, the jury, award compensatory damages in the amount of $2 million. As against John C. Depp II, we, the jury, award punitive damages in the amount of $0.
Does either side wish to have the jury polled?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Jamie?
Members of the jury, if this is your verdict, please answer yes. If this is not your verdict, please answer no. Juror number 6. Yes. Juror number 10.
Yes.
Juror number 15.
Yes.
Juror number 16.
Yes.
Juror number 22.
Yes.
Juror number 27.
Yes.
Juror number 29.
Yes.
All right. I do find that the jury's verdict is unanimous. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes your service in this case. I want to thank you again for your dedication and your hard work during this trial. I know I speak for everybody here when I tell you that we appreciate your sacrifices and your time and your public service in this matter, okay? So I'm going to have you go back to the jury deliberation room for one more time, and then we'll release you from there, okay? All right, thank you.
There we go, everyone, right here on Live Now from Fox. You've been watching live here for just this breaking news as the jury finds Amber Heard defamed Johnny Depp, and you heard there the different types of damages as far as monetary concerns right there, and now the defense team shaking hands with each other right there as the jury is now leaving. Obviously, Johnny Depp was not there in the courtroom. Amber Heard was. She remained had really no impression on her face at the moment right there as it was being read out. Let's listen a little bit more here on Live Now from Fox if we can.
Then circulate it to Ms. Bretterhoff, and we can have all the objections noted on it. All right?
We'll do that, Your Honor. Thank you very much.
All right, and if I get it before that date, I'll take it off the docket, okay? All right, again, thank you to all the attorneys for your professionalism, and you're welcome to come to my courtroom anytime. Well, give me a few weeks, but then you can come anytime, okay? All right, court is adjourned. Thank you.
All right, so court is now adjourned right there. That was the moment we heard, and we heard it from really around the country and around the world right there. Let's join now my co-host right here on Live Now from Fox, Daytona Everett, joining us here with the reaction. This was a moment.
Mike, there's a lot to break down here because technically, yes, the jury did find that Johnny Depp was defamed, but they also found to an extent that Amber Heard was defamed, the jury awarding Johnny Depp $15 million. Now, there's a lot to kind of dive into here. There's punitive damages, there's circumstances and questions that were asked of the jury on whether or not those specific headlines, those specific evidence presented in court was defamatory or not. I want to bring in Imran Ansari. He's a legal analyst who has been with us throughout this trial as well. Imran, so we know that Johnny Depp was defamed and the jury now saying, hey, $15 million worth, but also $2 million being awarded to Amber Heard. How does this all break down?
Yeah, Daytona, it's a really interesting verdict here. We sort of had the tide of this trial going in Johnny Depp's favor, and it's been a remarkable trial, really captivated the public's attention here to the point where we were almost spectating as if it was a sports match of some sort. And people were really saying Johnny Depp is going to get this, but we had to take a step back and look at this in the lens, under the lens, if I should say, of defamation law. And I think this jury was a very thoughtful jury because you have this verdict in favor of Johnny Depp on his claim against Amber Heard, but also finding defamation in favor of Amber Heard's counterclaim against Johnny Depp. They seem to have understood the nuances of defamation law, what needs to be proven, actual malice, which goes to that landmark Supreme Court case, New York Times versus Sullivan. And here you have a verdict in favor of Johnny Depp, but you got to also look at it as a verdict in favor of Amber Heard. Of course, the real damages here going to Johnny Depp in terms of that $15 million aggregate verdict in terms of damages assessed against Amber Heard, and then $2 million, though, for Amber Heard. So you see this jury is to be very interesting if we hear from these jurors after this case as to the thought process behind it. But I think that they really saw during the course of this trial, Daytona, a really remarkable opening of the book, I should say, into a very unfortunate marriage. You know, we have to also look at it at this under the context of domestic violence, and really how domestic violence could be possibly perpetrated by both a man and a woman in the context of a relationship. Here are all the ugly details coming out in court for the public and those jurors to see.
Okay, so I'm still a little confused though. So we have the 15 million and then we have the 2 million. So would it be accurate to say that Johnny Depp won this defamation trial and he is now being awarded 13 million? Simple math here.
Well, no, you could break it down like that. Yeah, if you want to see, parse out both cases, both awards of damages, and then reduce the 2 million that he is now on the hook for Amber Heard's counterclaim. You could do that, or you could take it in a separate context and analyze what the jury considered in awarding damages. And of course, we heard from all those experts who came in and talked about Q scores on both sides, and how Johnny Depp's value in Hollywood may have been diminished, roles he may have lost, and they had taken that into consideration, Daytona, in awarding that 15 million aggregate. But again, now you have $2 million also awarded to Amber Heard. Now let's think about that verdict right there. Of course, those were statements that went to Waldman, who was a representative, an attorney of Johnny Depp. He was able to be brought into that case, meaning Johnny Depp, based on this agency analysis under the law, saying that Waldman was his agent, therefore he would be liable for any defamatory statements that he may have made. And of course, now Johnny Depp is hit with that verdict. They did find defamation as to that one statement in the Daily Mail. And now there's $2 million that he owes to Amber Heard. So yes, you can look at it. All right, you got 15 million, but you also now owe the opposing party 2 million. So 13 million if you want to go practical.
Well, after this was all read off, I think it was Johnny Depp's legal team, could have been Amber Heard's, the judge asking if there was any objections to this, any last statements. They didn't object right now, but they did say, we will be back. What did you make of that?
So there's always the possibility of appeal, Daytona. There could be motions to set aside the verdict or challenge the amount of damages that were awarded here. There are a lot of possible routes for both parties if they want to challenge the verdict of this jury. Of course, you hear objections being laid out during the course of trial. That is to preserve for appellate not only what's going on in trial as of the moment, but also for appeal. If there's anything that's objectionable and the judge rules in a certain way that could be brought up on appeal, an attorney is going to latch on to that if a verdict is not in his or her favor. So we may see appeals from both sides of the coin here in this trial as to the respective verdicts that they have both had against them, because Johnny Depp won, but also Amber Heard won. So there's going to be two routes of appeal possibly from this verdict.
I'm curious to get your thoughts on this. The timeline, it was read today. How quickly could these damages be awarded to the other?
Right, so there's certain time periods. Of course, if there's an appeal, that's taken into consideration. Sometimes there's an agreement between the parties where a verdict or damages may be held in abeyance pending an appeal. But these are significant amounts of damages, no matter how you cut it. 15 million, of course, is a tremendous amount. But also $2 million is, that's no chump change right there. So there may be certain avenues that the parties may go about. But also typically after a verdict, at least here, let's say in New York State, it may be different down in Virginia, but I'm an attorney practicing here in New York. After certain procedures are done in court, you typically have about 20 days to pay out a verdict, some settlement or a verdict amount taken at trial, unless there is a motion to stay that damages pending appeal. And that's something that both these parties may seek to enforce in court.
Taking a step back, a little breather here, because, okay, we just got this verdict and this is what we have been waiting for. When you heard it come down, what was your initial reaction? Were you surprised? Did you kind of expect this? What are your initial thoughts?
I wasn't surprised at all, actually. I was actually surprised that they did award that one count to Amber Heard. As this court progressed, Daytona, in court, I felt more and more the odds were in Johnny Depp's favor. You saw the way Amber Heard testified during the trial, and I don't think it came across very credible. I don't think she was a likable witness, and I don't mean this to attack her in any way. There's certain demeanors and the way a witness comes off during trial, which goes to their credibility. And I really found that the jury latched on to Johnny Depp. And using as a litmus test, Daytona, the sort of court of public opinion and the way people rallied around Johnny Depp, you could take that as maybe a foreshadowing as to what this jury was going to do, because these jurors are everyday people, right? So they're analyzing this evidence, they're considering the evidence, and then, of course, applying the law to that evidence as the judge gives it to them. But I wasn't surprised by the verdict. I thought that Johnny Depp had put on a case that the jury likely latched onto, and a narrative that they likely latched onto. And I don't think that Amber Heard was a very likable witness in this courtroom.
And I think it's interesting right now we're learning from our producers here that in the state of Virginia for punitive damages, it's actually capped at $350,000. So it looks like when it's all said and done that Johnny Depp, for that portion that he was getting, that $5 million, it looks like that it'll be capped there at that $350,000, and so it's all going to shake out there. But it's interesting to see how that plays out from the punitive side of this as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's an interesting point that you make, because there are statutory limitations to certain damages related to certain claims. So as you just pointed out, in Virginia, there's a cap. So although the jury comes back with certain amounts during damages, it's not uncommon that if they award above the damages, then the court will reduce it to meet that certain amount, which is allowed by the law. Of course, again, there's also challenges on appeal to damages, and if it's an excessive award, or there's appeals based on quote unquote runaway verdicts from juries, then the appellate court may reduce damages on appeal. So even though you have these amounts that play out in court, as I said, there's likely going to be challenges not only to the liability verdict during this trial, but also to the amount of damages awarded and whether the evidence adduced at trial supported it, or whether there's any statutory caps within the state of Virginia that would prevent certain amounts being awarded above that cap.
So once again, to recap for everyone who maybe is just joining us here, we have $15 million going to Johnny Depp, awarded from the jury, $2 million going to Amber Heard, both, defamation. This is across the board, a unanimous decision from the jury here, one that I guess a lot could say, hey, you win and you win. Johnny winning a little bit more in this case. Any last thoughts, Imran?
No, I think it's going to be really interesting to hear, from these jurors. I think that they're going to be possibly speaking to the media. That seems to be the trend these days on these high-profile trials. Of course, we've seen in recent history with some high-profile cases when jurors talk to the media afterwards, sometimes that lends itself to legal challenges based on what's learned from those jurors after that. But it's going to be interesting to hear what their thought process is, and also to see how the careers of both Johnny Depp and Amber Heard play out after this. A lot of people say Johnny Depp is going to have a real, comeback in Hollywood, whereas Amber Heard, her career is going to seriously suffer from this trial.
All great points. We really, really appreciate you joining us here on Live Now from Fox and getting your insight, as always, as we bring you the very top stories revolving all around this verdict that just came in. So we appreciate you joining us here once again on Live Now from Fox, everybody. Just in case you're joining us, maybe coming in a little bit late to the news, maybe you heard about the news and now you're saying, hey, I want to see what everything is about, maybe some of the coverage. I want to take you back in inside of the courtroom, and we're going to play out that verdict being read out as the jury continues to lay it out there as far as where they stand there in this trial here. We are also keeping an eye on outside of the courthouse here. If anybody comes to the podium, we're going to break in and bring that to you live right here on Live Now from Fox. But let's show you from inside that courtroom moments ago, the verdict being read out.
In civil case number CL 2019-2911, Mr. Depp's claim against Ms. Heard. 1. As to the statement appearing in the online op-ed entitled, Amber Heard, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change. In the Washington Post online edition, quote, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change, end quote. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. Has Mr. Depp proven by a greater weight of the evidence that, question, the statement was made or published by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was false? Answer, yes. Question, the statement has a defamatory implication about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the defamatory implication was designed and intended by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, due to circumstances surrounding the publication of the statement, it conveyed a defamatory implication to someone who saw it other than Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven by clear and convincing evidence that Ms. Heard acted with actual malice? Answer, yes. 2. As to the statement appearing in the op-ed entitled A Transformative Moment for Women in the Washington Post print edition and the online op-ed, Amber Heard, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change, in the Washington Post online edition. Quote, then 2 years ago, I became a public figure representing domestic abuse, and I felt the full force of our culture's wrath for women who speak out, end quote. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. Has Mr. Depp proven by a greater weight of the evidence that, question, the statement was made or published by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was false? Answer, yes. Question, the statement has a defamatory implication about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the defamatory implication was designed and intended by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, due to circumstances surrounding the publication of the statement, it conveyed a defamatory implication to someone who saw it other than Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven by clear and convincing evidence that Ms. Heard acted with actual malice? Answer, yes. 3. As to the statement appearing in the op-ed entitled A Transformative Moment for Women in the Washington Post print edition and the online op-ed, Amber Heard, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change, in the Washington Post online edition. Quote, I had the rare vantage point of seeing in real time how institutions protect men accused of abuse, end quote. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. Has Mr. Depp proven by a greater weight of the evidence that, question, the statement was made or published by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was false. Answer, yes. Question, the statement has a defamatory implication about Mr. Depp. Answer, yes. Question, the defamatory implication was designed and intended by Ms. Heard. Answer, yes. Question, due to circumstances surrounding the publication of this statement, it conveyed a defamatory implication to someone who saw it other than Mr. Depp. Answer, yes. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven by clear and convincing evidence that Ms. Heard acted with actual malice? Answer, yes. As against Amber Heard, we, the jury, award compensatory damages in the amount of $10 million. As against Amber Heard, we, the jury, award punitive damages in the amount of $5 million. In civil case number CL 2019-2911, Ms. Heard's claim against Mr. Depp. 1. As to this statement, appearing in the April 8, 2020 online edition of the Daily Mail, quote, Amber Heard and her friends in the media use fake sexual violence allegations as both a sword and shield, depending on their needs. They have selected some of her sexual violence hoax facts as the sword, inflicting them on the public and Mr. Depp. Do you find that Ms. Heard has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, no. 2. As to this statement, appearing in the April 27, 2020 online edition of the Daily Mail, quote, quite simply, this was an ambush, a hoax. They set Mr. Depp up by calling the cops, but the first attempt did not do the trick. The officers came to the penthouses, thoroughly searched and interviewed, and left after seeing no damage to face or property. So Amber and her friends spilled a little wine and roughed the place up, got their story straight under the direction of a lawyer and publicist, and then placed a second call to 911, end quote. Do you find that Ms. Heard has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. Has Ms. Heard proven by a greater weight of the evidence that, question, Mr. Waldman, while acting as an agent for Mr. Depp, made or published the statement? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was about Ms. Heard. Answer, yes. Question, the statement was seen by someone other than Ms. Heard. Answer, yes. Question, the statement was false. Answer, yes. Do you find that Ms. Heard has proven by clear and convincing evidence that the statement by Mr. Waldman was made with actual malice? Answer, yes. 3. As to this statement, appearing in the April 27, 2020 online edition of the Daily Mail, quote, we've reached the beginning of the end of Ms. Heard's abuse hoax against Johnny Depp, end quote. Do you find that Ms. Heard has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, no. As against John C. Depp II, we, the jury, award compensatory damages in the amount of $2 million. As against John C. Depp II, we, the jury, award punitive damages in the amount of $0.
All right. Does either side wish to have the jury polled?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Jamie?
Members of the jury, if this is your verdict, please answer yes. If this is not your verdict, please answer no. Juror number 6. Yes. Juror number 10. Yes. Juror number 15. Yes. Juror number 16. Yes. Juror number 22. Yes. Juror number 27. Yes. Juror number 29.
Yes. All right. I do find that the jury's verdict is unanimous. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes your service in this case. I want to thank you again for your dedication and your hard work during this trial. And I know I speak for everybody here when I appreciate tell you that we appreciate your sacrifices and your time and your public service in this matter, okay? So I'm going to have you go back to the jury deliberation room for one more time, and then we'll release you from there, okay? All right, thank you.
And again, that was moments ago as everyone was watching live with us right here on Live Now from Fox. We do have some other breaking news here right here that we want to get to, including Amber Heard's statement she just put out. So let me read this here to you. She says, "The disappointment I feel today is beyond words. I'm heartbroken that the mountain of evidence still was not enough to stand up to the power, influence, and sway of my ex-husband. I'm even more disappointed with what this verdict means for other women. It is a setback. It sets back the clock to a time when a woman who spoke up and spoke out could be publicly shamed and humiliated. It sets back the idea that violence against women is to be taken seriously. I believe Johnny's attorneys succeeded in getting the jury to overlook the key issue of freedom of speech and ignore evidence that was so conclusive that we won in the UK. I'm sad I lost this case, but I am sadder still that I seem to have lost a right I thought I had as an American to speak freely and openly." And again, that was a statement just put out by Amber Heard just moments after that verdict was read out. Here is another live shot outside of the courthouse here as we continue to wait right here for maybe somebody to come up to the podium, defense, maybe lawyers. We will be waiting for that moment right here on Live Now from Fox, everybody. Now, it looks like we do have a statement that was just made by Johnny Depp here. Let's pull that in for everyone right here on Live Now from Fox. And I'll read this out to you right here. Again, this is a statement by Johnny Depp saying, "6 years ago, my life, the life of my children, the lives of those closest to me, and also the lives of the people who for many, many years have supported and believed in me were forever changed, all in the blink of an eye. False, very serious, and criminal allegations were leveled at me via the media, which triggered an endless barrage of hateful content. Although no charges were ever brought against me, it had already traveled around the world twice within a nanosecond, and it had a seismic impact on my life and my career. And 6 years later, the jury gave me my life back. I am truly humbled. My decision to pursue this cause, knowing very well the height of the legal hurdles that I would be facing and the inevitable worldwide spectacle into my life, was only made after considerable thought here." I want to continue that thought here and read out the statement a little bit later here on Live Now from Fox, but we do have a continuing breaking news. Coming to the podium right now is Johnny Depp's law team, and let's listen right here on Live Now from Fox.
To the jury for their careful deliberation, to the judge and the court staff who have devoted an enormous amount of time and resources towards this case.
Our judicial system is predicated on each person's right to have his or her case heard, and we were honored, truly honored, to assist Mr. Depp in ensuring that his case was fairly considered throughout the trial. We are also most pleased that the trial has resonated for so many people in the public who value truth and justice. Now that the jury has reached its conclusive verdict, it's time to turn the page and look to the future. Thank you all so much, and thanks to the jury.
Thank you so much.
Vasquez, have you spoken to Johnny? How is he feeling? How's Johnny feeling? Will Johnny and Amber ever speak to each other again? Ms. Vasquez, is this the end of the matter? Ms. Vasquez, will there be any
Okay, a very brief statement there, but as expected, they came to the podium to give their encouragement there, that they're happy with the jury's verdict right there. And we were bringing that to you right here live on Live Now from Fox. As you can see, We are a live, raw, and unfiltered feed, just bringing it to you as it comes in. And who knows who else might come to the podium there, but wanted to bring that to everybody's attention, of course, right here on Live Now from Fox, everybody. Let's now go out to, once again, my co-host, Daytona Everett, who has been with me all afternoon long. And what an afternoon it has been with this verdict coming down. We waited for it, we have it, and now the reactions are coming in.
Yeah, right there. That was Camille Vasquez. She is the head of the legal team for Johnny Depp and has made a name for herself specifically from this defamation trial. Stoked, saying that they are ready to turn the page and to move on, turn a new leaf, smiling from ear to ear here. And here's why. Here's the update on the verdict. There is damages of $10 million and then $350,000 punitive damages going for Johnny Depp. For Amber Heard, she got $2 million. Of course, defamation also going in her favor in that case. You might be wondering, because we said in the beginning $10 million and then $5 million in punitive. Well, there's a Virginia statutory cap on punitive damages. That means that if the jury awards more than $350,000, the judge is required by law to reduce the punitive damage award to the statutory cap of $350,000. This means that $5 million that Depp was awarded would be reduced to $350,000. So in total, he is looking at $8,350,000 million for Johnny Depp. Sorry, a lot of numbers here, Mike, but this is, again, the update that we have because of that statutory cap there out in Virginia, but both seeing defamation on the other here. And they did prove that there was actual malice in this case for Johnny Depp as well from Amber Heard in defamation. So that was big, that was substantial, and now he is going to be awarded that. The timeline of that somewhat unclear here, as there might be objections from Amber Heard's lawyers in this case. And you heard the response from Johnny Depp. He's clearly excited about it. Amber Heard, not so much.
No, not at all. And really, the one that I pick up a lot about on is Johnny Depp saying in that statement that we just read out to everybody that the jury gave me my life back. He talks about the last 6 years, how it's been a struggle when these accusations came against him, and then you really saw his Hollywood career dwindle. Now some would say, hey, now that this has really gone in Johnny Depp's favor, does he have a classic Hollywood rebound here? Because remember, in Hollywood, they love to build you up, they love to bring you down, and then sometimes they love to bring you back even higher. So we will wait and see on all of that. It's going to be very, very interesting as we are now entering a new hour here on Live Now from Fox Daytona. Thank you so much. Right now, I do want to kick it out to Fox 5 in D.C. Their coverage is ongoing. Let's listen to a little bit of what they have in their newscast right here on Live Now from Fox, everybody, as we continue with the very latest in the verdict that has been reached there for both sides, Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, right here on Live Now from Fox.
Word that we were getting a verdict around 3 o'clock, and it happened. And this is a game changer, Katie.
It is. It's a remarkable finding by the Fairfax County jury that Amber Heard did, in fact, defame Johnny Depp in that 2018 Washington Post op-ed. We just heard from Johnny Depp's lawyers here behind me at the podium. They're happy with today's outcome, being awarded $15 million in damages based on the jury's finding that Amber Heard did, in fact, defame him. She had to clear a tough legal bar to do it. They had to clear a tough legal bar to do it, finding that Amber Heard wrote those words in that op-ed with actual malice, meaning that she knew they were false, or with reckless disregard for the truth. Now, the jury also awarded Amber Heard $2 million in damages, finding that Johnny Depp's team defamed her when they called her allegations false and a hoax. That's somewhat of a contradiction in terms. I'm interested in digging into that finding, because they obviously obviously had to find that her statements were false, that she knew she was lying or with reckless disregard for the truth. So it's interesting that they found statements that her statements were false, also defamatory. We'll have to look into that. But that was the ultimate outcome today after 6 weeks of trial. And it must be said that this jury, which originally started with 7 jurors and 4 alternates, 11 residents of Fairfax County, Virginia, spent 6 weeks of their lives devoted to this case, not looking at the news, hearing testimony day in and day out that was sometimes difficult to hear personally about the intimate moments of a marriage. And they did their due diligence over the course of 3 days of deliberation, finally today reaching their decision. Juries take their job seriously, as it's clear this one did, taking their time in reaching this decision today. So much to be said about those 7 jurors who made the ultimate decision today after spending a huge chunk of their spring and into early summer hearing all of this testimony and reaching this decision here today. Guys?
A lot of people will dismiss this and say, why are you so into a case that has 2 Hollywood stars going at it, us learning intimate details and the nitty-gritty, the good, the bad, and the really ugly at some point? Why are you getting all into this? But we can't really understate the meaning of precedent when we talk about how this all turned out. Because I know there's a lot of lawyers out there that are like lifting their jaws off the floor after hearing how it played out and hearing that Johnny Depp was indeed found to be defamed. This is really something that's so tough. So going forward, and for other cases and for other people in similar situations, what does this say not only about our freedom of speech, but also how we don't have the right to go out there and falsely accuse people of things and put it in the public eye?
Well, it's certainly a remarkable finding by this jury. Angie, you and I have been talking for 6 weeks now during the 4 o'clock news about how difficult it is to prove defamation, especially when it involves a public figure. And the fact that the jury did hear in this case and awarded $15 million in damages is a remarkable feat. They awarded $5 million of that 15 in punitive damages. And I want to point out that we're looking at a Virginia regulation law that actually limits recovery of that punitive damage amount to around $350,000 rather than $5 million. So that's something we'll also be following up about. It might not be that it actually gets to be that $5 million amount. But Angie, to your point, the fact that the jury found defamation here against the odds, it's an incredibly difficult thing to prove. Defamation rarely goes to trial, much less a 6-week trial. So all of this is remarkable.
You said this doesn't necessarily mean that it's over. We're going to check back in with you a little later in the show. Katie Barlow for us outside the Fairfax County courtroom. Thank you. Meanwhile, we do know that Amber Heard, she did win one claim in her case and was awarded $2 million. Also Heard releasing a statement just a short time ago. Part of it saying, quote, "The disappointment I feel today is beyond words. I'm heartbroken that the mountain of evidence still was not enough to stand up to the disproportionate power, influence, and sway of my ex-husband," end quote.
And Johnny Depp also released a statement saying, quote, "6 years ago, my life, the life of my children, the lives of those closest to me, and also the lives of the people who for many, many years have supported and believed in me were forever changed. And 6 years later, the jury gave me my life back. I am truly humbled," end quote. And our team coverage will continue regarding this matter. We want to get right to David Kaplan for more on the crowd that is gathered outside the courthouse. David, what do you see out there?
Yeah, Rob, if you've been with us for the past hour, you've seen a lot of people outside the courthouse behind me. Johnny Depp's lawyers walked out, gave a short statement, walked away. So it's dissipated a little bit. Sloan Bailey's here, though. She's hung around to chat with us. Tell me, first of all, what brought you out here today?
I live 15 minutes away, and this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and I just knew I had to come at least one of these days.
And tell me just what your reaction was, knowing for all intents and purposes that Johnny Depp has won this defamation trial.
I'm not surprised. I think a lot of people aren't surprised. Most people were on Johnny Depp's side. So this didn't really come as a shock, but it's still very surreal seeing it happen live. So,
how closely did you follow this, and why do you think people were just so interested in this whole trial?
I think one of the reasons why is because it's on every single social media, especially TikTok, and that's pretty much where, all this information is being, coming out. And so I've been watching it live on there for a while, and I pretty much watched like most of the courtroom cases. So
Gotcha. All right. Well, thank you so much for staying around and chatting with us. So there you have it. Certainly some people here in support of one of the two parties, some people here recognizing, look, this is happening in Fairfax County and just wanting to be here as this 6-week case sort of wrapped up. So there's one perspective for you outside a very toasty Fairfax County courthouse.
Well, David, first quick question. You know, we all know that Depp was garnering a lot of support worldwide throughout this case. And, you know, seeing the energy that you're seeing there on the ground, why did you think that's the case?
Yeah, you know, it's hard to say. We've talked to a handful of people who really watched this very closely. If you were with us in our last 15 minutes, we spoke with a woman who said she genuinely came into this with sort of no presuppositions about this case itself, and that she felt that the evidence itself really lended itself to a verdict that we got here today. So whether it's support of one party or another, or those who really did come out and wanted to listen to the evidence, follow along on TikTok or social media, that's sort of part of the fervor for Johnny Depp that we've seen out here.
Cases start to take a national spotlight. People start to pay very close attention to them. And when we hear on a day like this that the verdict has been, you know, they've reached a verdict, people are watching with bated breath. When the verdict was actually read, what was the reaction there?
Well, I can tell you a lot of people had their phones out. They were watching it as they lined the outside of the courthouse here, and you started to hear sporadic shouts as the verdict indicated that it would be, for the most part, in favor of Johnny Depp. So certainly people cheering and celebrating. The vast majority of people here thinking that this was the right verdict. Although, if you joined us, we also did speak with someone who was out here on the other side of the street showing a sign in support of Amber Heard, saying she didn't think a lot of people in support of Heard would be out here. And so she stood out here to make sure that Amber Heard knew that her perspective on this case, that people were in favor of her as well. Rob.
David Kaplan in Fairfax. David, thank you.
All right, we want to talk about the weather as well, because that's another big story around these parts.
And there was DC's coverage there, Fox 5 now going on to weather there for that part of the region. We are going to stay here, right here with you on Live Now from Fox, take you out live outside of the courthouse. As you can see, it is now dwindling the amount of people that were there, as people have now heard about the verdict. They were there and wanted to hear the reaction, and we heard from the defense team from Johnny Depp. We'll play that out in just a little bit here on Live Now from Fox. But just in case, hey, maybe you're still getting the word that the verdict was in and you heard all about it, but maybe you didn't get to see it all in its entirety. Don't worry, we have the tape. We got it all right here for you on Live Now from Fox, and we're going to play that out for you right here, just like if you were inside the courtroom as this verdict was coming down.
In civil case number CL 2019-2911, Mr. Depp's claim against Ms. Heard. 1. As to the statement appearing in the online op-ed entitled, "Amber Heard, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change." In the Washington Post online edition. Quote, "I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change," end quote. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. Has Mr. Depp proven by a greater weight of the evidence that, question, the statement was made or published by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was false? Answer, yes. Question, the statement has a defamatory implication about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the defamatory implication was designed and intended by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, due to circumstances surrounding the publication of the statement, it conveyed a defamatory implication to someone who saw it other than Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven, by clear and convincing evidence, that Ms. Heard acted with actual malice? Answer, yes. 2. As to the statement appearing in the op-ed entitled "A Transformative Moment for Women" in the Washington Post print edition and the online op-ed, Amber Heard, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change, in the Washington Post online edition. Quote, then 2 years ago, I became a public figure representing domestic abuse, and I felt the full force of our culture's wrath for women who speak out, end quote. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. Has Mr. Depp proven by a greater weight of the evidence that, question, the statement was made or published by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was false? Answer, yes. Question, the statement has a defamatory implication about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the defamatory implication was designed and intended by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, due to circumstances surrounding the publication of the statement, it conveyed a defamatory implication to someone who saw it other than Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven by clear and convincing evidence that Ms. Heard acted with actual malice? Answer, yes. 3. As to the statement appearing in the op-ed entitled "A Transformative Moment for Women" in the Washington Post print edition and the online op-ed, Amber Heard, I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change, in the Washington Post online edition. Quote, I had the rare vantage point of seeing in real time how institutions protect men accused of abuse, end quote. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. Has Mr. Depp proven by a greater weight of the evidence that, question, the statement was made or published by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was false? Answer, yes. Question, the statement has a defamatory implication about Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Question, the defamatory implication was designed and intended by Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, due to circumstances surrounding the publication of this statement, it conveyed a defamatory implication to someone who saw it other than Mr. Depp? Answer, yes. Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven by clear and convincing evidence that Ms. Heard acted with actual malice? Answer, yes. As against Amber Heard, we, the jury, award compensatory damages in the amount of $10 million. As against Amber Heard, we, the jury, award punitive damages in the amount of $5 million. In civil case number CL 2019-2911, Ms. Heard's claim against Mr. Depp. 1. As to this statement appearing in the April 8, 2020 online edition of the Daily Mail, quote, Amber Heard and her friends in the media use fake sexual violence allegations as both a sword and shield, depending on their needs. They have selected some of her sexual violence hoax facts as the sword, inflicting them on the public and Mr. Depp. Do you find that Ms. Heard has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, no. 2. As to this statement appearing in the April 27, 2020 online edition of the Daily Mail, quote, quite simply, this was an ambush, a hoax. They set Mr. Depp up by calling the cops, but the first attempt did not do the trick. The officers came to the penthouses, thoroughly searched and interviewed, and left after seeing no damage to face or property. So Amber and her friends spilled a little wine and roughed the place up, got their story straight under the direction of a lawyer and publicist, and then placed a second call to 911, end quote. Do you find that Ms. Heard has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes. Has Ms. Heard proven by a greater weight of the evidence that, question, Mr. Waldman, while acting as an agent for Mr. Depp, made or published the statement? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was about Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was seen by someone other than Ms. Heard? Answer, yes. Question, the statement was false? Answer, yes. Do you find that Ms. Heard has proven, by clear and convincing evidence, that the statement by Mr. Waldman was made with actual malice? Answer, yes. 3. As to this statement, appearing in the April 27, 2020 online edition of the Daily Mail, quote, we've reached the beginning of the end of Ms. Heard's abuse hoax against Johnny Depp, end quote. Do you find that Ms. Heard has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, no. As against John C. Depp II, we, the jury, award compensatory damages in the amount of $2 million. As against John C. Depp II, we, the jury, award punitive damages in the amount of $0.
All right. Does either side wish to have the jury polled?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Jamie?
Members of the jury, if this is your verdict, please answer yes. If this is not your verdict, please answer no. Juror number 6. Yes. Juror number 10.
Yes.
Juror number 15.
Yes.
Juror number 16.
Yes.
Juror number 22. Yes. Juror number 27. Yes. 29.
Yes.
All right. I do find that the jury's verdict is unanimous. Ladies and gentlemen.
And there we go, everyone. That was the verdict being read there, and we brought it to you, of course, live right here on Live Now from Fox. This is, once again, a live look outside of the courthouse there, as the crowd has definitely dwindled there. But, yeah, everyone coming to that area to see what the buzz was going to be when that verdict was going to be read out there. Still some media members continuing to be right out there. I want to show you just some of the statements that were made just after that verdict dropped here. This is one here. First off is from Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp says, 6 years ago, my life, the life of my children, the lives of those closest to me, and also the lives of the people who for many, many years have supported and believed in me forever changed, all in the blink of an eye. False, very serious, and criminal allegations were leveled at me via the media, which triggered an endless barrage of hateful content. Although no charges were ever brought against me, it had already revealed around the world twice within a nanosecond, and it had a seismic impact on my life and my career. And 6 years later, the jury gave me my life back. I am truly humbled. My decision to pursue this one, knowing very well that the height of the legal hurdles that I would be facing and the inevitable worldwide spectacle into my life was only made after considerable thought. From the very beginning, the goal of bringing this one was to reveal the truth, regardless of the outcome. Speaking the truth was something that I agreed to my children and to all those who have remained steadfast in their support of me. I feel at peace knowing I have finally accomplished that. And once again, that's a statement there just moments ago being put out by Johnny Depp's team there. And I should note, really, the main takeaway from this is that paragraph saying, and 6 years later, the jury gave me my life back. I am truly humbled here. Now let's show you Amber Heard's statement that she made not too long ago as well, saying that the disappointment I feel today is beyond words. I'm heartbroken that the mountain of evidence still was not enough to stand up to the appropriate power, influence, and sway of my ex-husband. I am even more disappointed with what this verdict means for other women. It is a setback. It sets back the clock to a time when a woman who spoke up and spoke out could be publicly shamed and humiliated. It sets back the idea that violence against women is to be taken seriously. I believe Johnny's attorneys succeeded in getting the jury to overlook the key issue of freedom of speech and ignore evidence that was so conclusive that we won in the UK. I'm sad I lost this case, but I am sadder still that I seem to have lost a right I thought I had as an American to speak freely and openly. That was again from Amber Heard just moments after that verdict coming down. I now want to play out, it's a very quick one, but this is from Johnny Depp's legal team. They came to that podium moments ago, and we want to play that for you right here on Live Now from Fox.
Johnny Depp are defamatory and unsupported by any evidence. We are grateful, so grateful to the jury for their careful deliberation, to the judge and the court staff who have devoted an enormous amount of time and resources towards this case.
Our judicial system is predicated on each person's right to have his or her case heard, and we were honored, truly honored, to assist Mr. Depp in ensuring that his case was fairly considered throughout the trial. We are also most pleased that the trial has resonated for so many people in the public who value truth and justice. Now that the jury has reached its conclusive verdict, it's time to turn the page and look to the future. Thank you all so much, and thanks to the jury.
Thank you so much.
Again, that was Johnny Depp's legal team there moments ago talking about that verdict that came down, and then again thanking the jury for all of that. Well, that is the day right there for the verdict. We had coverage for you, really wall to wall. That's what we do here on Live Now from Fox. Bring you the news that is coming in live, raw, and unfiltered. And that's exactly what we did here for you today, revolving around the Johnny Depp defamation trial, really for this past 6 weeks, giving you gavel-to-gavel coverage, special on our YouTube page there as well, and the millions of views that came with it. There was that big interest, so we thank all our viewers from around the world there that took part in that. One more live look right outside of the courthouse there in Virginia. Let's now take a quick 2-minute break, and then we'll get some top stories from across the country, including President Biden on the baby formula shortage crisis.
with Bubs Australia. And the CEO of Bubs, Christy Carr, is with us today, virtually today. This flight would bring 4.6 million bottles of infant formula and pave the way for up to 27.5 million total bottles of Bubs infant formula to be supplied to American families in the weeks ahead. Third, the Food and Drug Administration is reviewing applications for another new high-quality imports to increase our supply. In addition to getting Bubs formula through the process, on Friday, FDA announced that Kendall NutriCare would be able to import formula from the UK. Today, we're announcing the United Airlines has agreed to offer cargo space for Kendall NutriCare for the delivery of 3.7 bottles of the formula here in the States. I want to thank United Airlines for partnering with us to get this done. They're doing it on their own, with the first flight next week continuing over the next 2 to 3 weeks. And Target, the department store, has agreed to partner with Kendall NutriCare to distribute this formula quickly to American families in stores and online. And still we have work to do, though, but we're making critical progress. And today I look forward to hearing from these leading manufacturers to learn more about their actions they're taking to increase supply to American families and to discuss how my administration can continue to support their efforts. Speeding up manufacturing, helping move goods faster from factory floors to store shelves. In addition to the companies I mentioned, I will also hear from ByHeart operation out of Pennsylvania. We need more new entrants into the infant formula market like them, like ByHeart. And finally, we're going to hear from the Surgeon General on what he's doing to help families get information they can trust as we continue making progress to resolve this shortage. The work ahead is not going to be easy, but we will continue to work around the clock with manufacturers, states, doctors, and families. And that includes working with states to ensure that, with the help of the Department of Agriculture, we continue to cut the red tape for families to participate in the Women and Infants Children Program, the so-called WIC program. I recently signed legislation to help make it easier for families to get the formula they need through the WIC program. I called on all 50 states to take action, and all 50 states answered the call, working with us to make that program more flexible. And we're going to stay focused on doing even more. I'm going to make sure the families in every part of the country can get the formula they need. And I look forward to our conversations today. So I want to thank you all. And now I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Secretary. I'm going to have you speak now and your remarks, and then we're going to hand it over to Samara, to my behind me here. All yours, Mr. Secretary.
Mr. President, let me start by thanking you for convening today's roundtable. At your direction, we are working 24/7 to get infant formula into the hands of parents across the country. As my team at HHS recently told Alexa, a mom from Leesburg, Virginia, whose son's a 1.5-year-old and a 6-month-old require specialty infant formula, getting more formula, particularly specialty formula, on shelves quickly and safely is a priority for us. Mr. President, thanks for your leadership. And thanks to that leadership, we have partnered with federal colleagues across the administration to support Operation Fly Formula, to bring formula in from other countries and bring it in swiftly and safely. In addition, the FDA is working with Abbott to get its facility to reopen safely. And we are working to quickly and safely bolster the supply of products so that the industry can get them to people in urgent need with a focus on specialty formula. Under a consent decree with the FDA, Abbott agreed to take corrective actions following an FDA inspection of its Sturgis, Michigan facility, actions that are expected to ultimately result in an increase in the safety of infant formula. As I have invoked the Defense Production Act 3 times already, that was done to accelerate delivery of raw materials needed to manufacture infant formula for America's families. And one more important point. At HHS, we have launched a new online hub, hhs.gov/formula, to help parents and caregivers navigate their baby formula options. At hhs.gov/formula, parents and caregivers can connect to community resources, such as community centers or an accredited food bank. They can connect to preliminary recommendations from physicians and clinicians, and they can check if the brand of formula they rely on was affected by Abbott's recall. We invite feedback from the public and plan to update this page further in the coming days. And all of this information can be found in multiple languages. We're engaging governors across the country so that they too have the latest information on how to help families in their states navigate their needs. And we're working closely with the U.S. Department of Agriculture to support the Special Supplemental Nutrition Program for Women, Infant, and Children, the WIC program, to ensure WIC families can access new supplies of baby formula as they become available. We will keep working 24/7 to make sure parents have the infant formula they need. But remember, HHS, FDA, USDA, we're not manufacturers. We need infant formula manufacturers and the industry as a whole to keep stepping up and working with us. As you've made clear, Mr. President, only together can we solve this challenge and get families the infant formula they need. And with that, let me now turn to Deputy Director Samira Fazli for her comments.
Thank you, Secretary Becerra. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. What we'll do now is turn to the manufacturers and get some updates. We last spoke to you in mid-May, heard about the work you were doing, building upon a lot of the work that the administration had been doing diligently since February. But I want to begin with Robert Cleveland. And since we last spoke to you, we've now invoked the Defense Production Act and want to hear how the Defense Production Act is enabling Reckitt to speed up its production of infant formula.
Sure, I'd be happy to address that, and thank you for convening this roundtable. So, as the next largest manufacturer of scale after Abbott in the United States, getting as many feedings to shelf as possible has been an enormous priority for us. We've left no stone unturned in the way we can do that safely and in a high quality manner. And since the recall event occurred, there are a number of actions we've taken. First and foremost, our plants are running 24/7 with unlimited overtime. We've optimized our portfolio to focus on those products that move through our plants the fastest. And we've worked with our retail and our distribution partners to ensure that our trucks are getting to distribution centers and prioritized with our retail partners like Walmart and Target, Kroger, such that our trucks are unloaded first and feedings get to shelf faster. Because it's not just about more, it's about how much more we can put at shelf. And since the recall began, or since the beginning of the year, we have been able to increase the amount we've put to market by over 30% and to do it 40% faster. To dimensionalize that a little bit more, that's about 211,000 more infants that we're feeding after the recall than before the recall. But to address your question directly on the impact of the Defense Production Act, when we spoke to the White House middle of last month, there were a number of very rapid actions that the government took, and we're very appreciative of them. Part of it is the Defense Production Act. We have been the beneficiary of one implementation of that got us some essential oil to our manufacturing process. But there have also been calls from staffers from the NEC and HHS to other manufacturers who supply to us. And those calls alone have been helpful. And because of those calls, because of all that's been done, we now have a production schedule in June where we're looking to produce 40 million feedings per week. And that's because we have a special response or a special and temporary responsibility to produce more than half of the infant formula in the US. And our employees are dedicated to meeting that responsibility. And in fact, over Memorial Day weekend, worked to produce another 5 million feedings at our plants in Michigan and Indiana. And they couldn't have done that without the efforts to get us more inputs through the DPA and the efforts of the staffers at HHS and NEC, and we're deeply appreciative. But the other thing I wanted to lead to is that we can do even more. And so we have a unique opportunity with our brand Enfamil, which has fed generations of infants in the US and is the most trusted by pediatricians and mothers. And with that unique position, we've submitted applications to the FDA to bring formula in from our world-class facilities in Singapore and Mexico. And if those applications are approved, we believe we can bring enough formula in to add an additional 250,000 infants on the ones we were already feeding post the recall, and come a long way to substantially ending this crisis. And if those approvals happen fast enough, we can make an impact as soon as this month. And we're really looking forward to working with the HHS and the FDA in processing those applications as quickly as we can. But in closing on my opening remarks, I just wanted to recognize the efforts of the USDA and the local governments that implement the program. We've been working to fill the gap created by the shutdown of the Sturgis facility ever since it happened. And the flexibility of the administration of that program has allowed manufacturers like ourselves and our retail partners to be able to put product at the shelves that WIC participants can more easily access. And since they are the most vulnerable in our society, I just want everybody to know those efforts have been fruitful, meaningful, and I know we're feeding more WIC participants because of them. So thank you for the efforts from the government, the USDA, to improve flexibility in that regard. And if there are other questions later, I'm happy to answer them.
Robert, I'd like to ask a question, if I may. Tell us about what changes you've made to move the formula faster from your factory to the floor shelves. I mean, what you talked about the trucks and about priorities. Are there other things you've done as well?
Yes, sir. So typically the way our process would work is we would make our product, it would go through its normal quality release checks, be released into a system that then eventually becomes visible to retailers to order from. What we've done now is to make sure that every retail partner we have is aware of the moment that product is released from quality, their order is waiting for it, the truck is booked to ship it to their facility, and once it gets to their facility, it's prioritized among all the other deliveries that they receive to get to shelf as fast as possible. And again, those changes in totality, we believe we're now delivering product to market 40% faster than we were prior to the recall. And again, it's partnership up and down the line, sir.
One last question. Did you, and I'm going to ask this to your other colleagues, did you anticipate that the closure of the Abbott facility, because it was not producing the quality that was necessary, that would have this profound an effect immediately? Or did it take a little time to?
I think, no, sir, we were aware of the general impact that this would have. And so from the moment that recall was announced, we reached out immediately to retail partners like Target, Walmart, to tell them this is what we think will happen. And this is the inventory we have on hand right now. You should order it. And any inventory in your distribution centers should be pushed to shelves as fast as possible. And they've been great partners in taking all of those actions. And then, of course, as the recall has gone on, more specific impacts have been felt, and we've learned and adjusted to those as well. But no, we knew from the very beginning this would be a very serious event.
I met early on with those CEOs, and they were trying to figure out how they could move quickly, and you've been very helpful, so thank you.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for that. 40% faster is incredible, and just a testament to the work that you and your team have been doing with all your partners. Tarun, I'm going to turn to you next. While most of us here in the U.S. know of your company as Gerber, we know that Gerber and Nestle are essentially the same brand. Wanted to get an update from you on the work that Gerber has done since Operation Formula helped them bring so much Nestle specialty formula to the U.S. market. Can you give us an update on your ability to distribute that product to the families that need it?
Thank you, Samira. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with yourself, the President, and members of the administration. If I could first start by saying we take this responsibility very seriously to be part of the solution. And in fact, without overstating it, at Gerber, we feel this is our national duty. And we have crisis teams that are operating today, 3.5 months after the recall, with the same level of urgency as we did when I got that first phone call informing me of the crisis situation. This is demonstrated by our factories that continue to run 24/7. We have, in fact, from our domestic demand, increased 60% additional supply to the marketplace since the recall. And as you mentioned, Samir alluded to the broader Nestle, we're leveraging the full power of entire Nestle network to be able to come to our aid at this time of crisis. One of the things we will not compromise on, obviously, is quality and safety. That's a core principle at Nestle. So everything we do, even in these very dynamic and fluid times, we make sure that every product that goes out meets our highest standards. And the president alluded to that as well when referring to Operation Fly Formula. That has been a very powerful statement. The same urgency was shared by the administration. And since we've received, to your specific question, Samira, since we've received 60 tons of that product on one shipment and another shipment with the Nestle Health Science product, we have been rapidly moving those products through our distribution centers into the marketplace. In fact, the product, and it was a privilege and a very proud moment for me to be with our First Lady, Dr. Jill Biden, and our Surgeon General, Dr. Murthy, to get that. Since that time, those 40% of those cans that were received have already been made their way to the store shelves, to hospitals, and other high-need areas. So from our perspective, Fly Formula has been very helpful for us. Again, the president alluded, we shaved off weeks from normal transit time. We're getting product off the shelf as quickly as we can turn it around. And then finally, if I may add, is the same point that Robert alluded to earlier and the president alluded to as well. Working with the FDA under the enforcement discretion, we have submitted multiple proposals of, again, high quality formula that has the potential of bringing in 9.5 million individual 8-ounce servings over the course of the next month and a half. We're, of course, following all process. We have to follow the details here, make sure the recipes are compatible with our current recipes. We can track the product, as well as make sure that the label is in English for easy translation and obviously easy comprehension and have no translation issues. So again, we're a small player at Gerber, but we believe now is the time to go above and beyond.
Can I ask a question? How are you supporting families that participate in the WIC program, in the Special Supplemental Nutritional Program? You know, women, infant, children. When I spoke with the retailers, we talked about making sure that they could be able to purchase. You can limit what you purchase under WIC and based on the size of the container and the like. And we worked out a deal where they could, whatever container was available would be the ones that we use, and they would not be limited to being able to be stuck with if you only had an X ounces or what have you been doing to accommodate that or talk about that with your customers?
Mr. President, that hits to the heart of the matter. In terms of WIC families, Gerber currently has 7 contracts. However, working very closely, and big thanks to the USDA's flexibility, specifically referring to what you alluded to in terms of substitution opportunities, can size flexibility. We now have, in addition to our 7 WIC contracts, which we must protect to ensure product is available where we have contracts. But today you will find Gerber product available in all 35 Abbott WIC contract states. That comes through a lot of work on the ground with, again, I represent a large number of teams, a number of colleagues across the US and across even Europe and across the world supporting us in this matter. Working with the WIC offices on a local level, making sure our products are available for them in their formularies. The WIC parent may shop at a WIC office, they may shop at a retail. They have multiple different distribution options, and we make sure our product is available through all of those means. So we've been able, again, taking advantage and full partnership with the USDA to get our product available both the product that is normal term usage, but also the specialized products that we have, because there are big families that have needs for those products as well. In fact, that is a core part of how we want to move forward, is make sure products available for the WIC families. And then if I could build on that a bit, we're also making sure our specialized products, which have a unique need in the marketplace, is available through children's hospitals and other home healthcare partners where it's not the traditional channel. So it really is a number of different initiatives across multiple touch points where the WIC family has to be supported to make sure that they get the product. And we believe we're working very closely with the administration and having good success on that, sir.
Really important. Thank you. Thank you. I'm sorry for interrupting.
And USDA has done incredible work to approve a lot of those waivers in 24 to 48-hour timelines since February. And as the president laid out, all 50 states finally took action after he called them to task a few weeks ago on that. And you know, the 35 Abbott states that you mentioned, some of that was also due to USDA's effort to work with Abbott to make sure that companies like yours were able to get your product into those store shelves. So thank you, Tarun, for that update.
Thank you, Samira.
Murray, I'm going to turn to you next. A lot of families might not be familiar with the name Perigo, but I know that you provide a lot of the manufacturing for the private label brands that they may be buying at a Target or a Walmart. So can you speak to us about what you've done to scale up production since February and the result of all that effort that you and your company have taken?
Sure. First off, thank you for the opportunity to be here, Samira, and thank you, Mr. President, for your leadership in this crisis. We all appreciate it. We are indeed a private label manufacturer, and for those who aren't familiar with that, we don't actually market a national brand ourselves. We enable competition, and we pack for 18 national store brands. Those are the retailers' brands, and several national smaller branded marketers. So in essence, we are creating competition, and those store brands sell for about half the price of the national brand. So we're proud that we provide an affordable, accessible, while still maintaining superior quality. Consistent with our vision to make lives better, we play a vital role in providing access to affordable infant formula. And as I said, we also foster competition. Now, when I joined the company about 3 years ago, we saw the need for strengthening the resiliency of our infant formula business. And over the last 3 years, we put about $100 million into the facilities so that they would be reliable and they would be resilient. And that's benefiting us tremendously right now. Like what you heard from everyone else so far, our 500 associates in our manufacturing facilities in Ohio and Vermont are running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and have done so all while navigating global supply chain shortages and tight labor market.